So I'll just take a second. I want to communicate to others also, sir.
The session has gone live, so all
Yes.
those who are waiting must be anxious to hear what we have to share with them. So, Anjali ji, in the meantime, if you are taking time, let me share with all the participants, because we are talking about blended learning. I guess Anjali ji has already introduced me to you on
Yes,
Sunday,
sir.
so
We'll
there is
start
no
it
need
one
of
over. Sir, but sorry for interruption. I just want to take a brief time for your introduction one more time because
go ahead. I
certain
don't, I
individuals.
mean, I am a communicator, so I don't want to test the patience of all those who are hearing. I was only filling the gap. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for being there around for me. I welcome you once again to the seventh day of the 2 weeks online interdisciplinary international refresher course on Academic Bank of Credits ABC scheme in higher education UGC Regulation 2021 with reference to blended learning on behalf of the Teaching Learning Center, Ramanujan College, Department of Canadian Studies, and Indian Accounting Association NCR chapter. For this session, we have with us Professor Chandrabhushan Sharma. Sir has already been kind enough to take up one session on blended learning before, and we all know him. But as the precedence is, I do want to share one more time that Sir is the professor of education at the School of Education, Indira Gandhi Open University, New Delhi since 2006, and he has served as the chairman of National Institute of Open Learning April 2015 to April 2020. During his position as the chairman and under his leadership, the institute has experienced a complete turnaround with when many landmark new initiatives, including introduction of courses in Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, leading to the award of senior secondary certificate in Indian knowledge tradition. Sir has more than 3 decades of teaching experience and is the recipient of President's Award for commendable contribution to digital initiatives during the National Convention on Digital Initiatives for Higher Education on 9th of July 2017. Sir has, to his credit, the Appreciation Award for Paul Harris Fellow, and also Sir, when was the director of the distance education, he was nominated by the government for Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan by MHRD. Also, the government of India had assigned him the responsibility of training more than 12 lakh untrained in-service teachers to the NIOS through diploma in elementary education. And one thing that has to be mentioned here that the same work was being completed by Sir under his leadership in a record time. Also, Sir has been on various national policy framing committees, including the committee constituted by Government of India to review the National Council for Teachers Education and the committee constituted by Government of India to draft the Distance Education Council of India bill. He has been on various statutory bodies and also is the visitors nominee on various selection committees. Also, Sir has been nominated by IGNOU as well as invited to national committees on various areas. Sir has written as well as taken part in many national as well as state level educational planning discussions and brainstorming. Sir has also been invited to visiting professor at various universities, besides being invited to international agencies like World Bank for research studies. Professor Sharma was a member of Indian delegation led by the Honorable Human Resource Minister of India to the Commonwealth Ministerial Meet held at Bahamas in 2015, and Sir was also invited by Universal Basic Education Commission to facilitate establishment of open school in Nigeria in 2018. Under the leadership of Professor Sharma, the National Institute of Open Learning bagged the prestigious Commonwealth of Learning Award for Excellence for Institutional Achievement in Distance Education. Under his leadership only, he has worked towards the education of the differently able, especially the hearing impaired, and he has bagged the COL Award of Excellence in Digital Education or Online Experience in 2019 through one of its deaf learners that is there. So his contribution towards revamping of the industrial training institutes and bringing the certificate secondary and senior secondary was also highly appreciated. We welcome you once again, sir. I have tried to shorten your CV, but definitely I know, sir, that your contribution is beyond doubt is immense to this area of education, and the way you have been working towards the society and trying to make a better place, especially for those who don't have access to education, and the same can be done through open learning. Definitely, sir, we are really grateful to you, and also we are grateful that you have spared so much of valuable time of yours to come to be the resource person for this particular refresher course. Thank you, sir. Over to you now, sir.
Thank you so much, Anjali ji. I'm so very grateful for reading out all that I have done, contributed to academia all through my career as an educationist. Thank you very much. But I must say, Anjali ji has been very liberal in devoting so much time in introducing me and going into details of my career. Last day, we had talked about blended learning. And I had talked about what is blended learning. How we can make blended learning, we are going to discuss today, and what is the philosophical thinking behind it, what is the pedagogy behind it. We'll be talking about it today. The emphasis was on what makes blended learning and how can we do it. We are on a platform. I'm going to talk about these, so I will start with this exercise. We are talking about various platforms, various processes, various pedagogic processes through which we conduct our teaching learning sessions. Can you quickly write a mobile number? Please write, take your pen and pencil and write a mobile number, 98 105 12605. That's my number. Can you quickly scribble one line? What was the crux? What was the main theme of our discussion on Sunday? Quickly write just one line. What did we discuss about on Sunday? This is an exercise in blended learning. We are talking about blending. I'm holding my mobile, looking at the mobile. If I have got feedback, I had asked to write your questions on the chat box, because we are not accessing the chat box. I cannot access the chat box which you are writing on. So I require a mediator to tell me which are the questions. I will look for at least a few feedback so that I know you are with me. We are on the same page. What is blended learning about? Have you been able to scribble one line at least? I have not got yet even one feedback. Quickly, at least one or two lines, just one line. I had talked about it last day, and I'm only trying to assess and read whether the message reached you.
Priyanka,
Teaching learning is not about.
are we having any messages from YouTube live? Live पे कोई message आ रहा है तो देखो.
हाँ वो भी दीजिएगा. But I am trying to establish a contact with all those who are with me in the teaching learning process. This is to make you understand blended learning is not about one-sided effort. Blended learning is about coming as close to teaching learning process as we can, mediated by various technologies and media. And this is the first exercise that I wanted to make you feel, make you aware that yes, now I have got sir, we spoke about blended learning. That is obvious. We talked about blended learning. Tell me one fact. What did I say? What is it?
There are a few replies on the YouTube live. Can I read them for you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
How to change our techniques and adopt different modes of blended learning depending upon their access.
Great, great. I also have got one feedback. Blended learning is to use mixed means of teaching with challenges to cope up. Exactly. There are challenges in teaching. How can we make learning better or augment learning? That was the main crux. All that we are doing and all the time that we are doing, you spoke about how some aspects of blended learning was also there in our traditional teaching learning process. For example, transcripts on stone. Exactly. Good. Good. Do you know, as teachers, we need feedback. If our, I won't say students again, if my colleagues, because I believe I had mentioned again and again, you are all, I'm lecturing to young lecturers who have recently joined the profession, and I'm trying to inculcate all those ideas, all the skills through which you can reach your learners beyond classroom as well. Beyond classroom as well. Classroom is default teaching learning process. We are trying to look at alternatives and how best to augment learning. So, sir, you said that best teachers would be the high demand in blended learning.
In the last session, we had been getting that nice session. Then there was a statement that the lecture is motivating enough to switch over towards blended learning. That was another one. Some of the more messages, sir. I'm putting up in the chat box also for you to see, sir. That were there in the last session, sir. Putting it, sir, in a second, sir.
Right. I have got beautiful combination of traditional and online learning environment. Good. Thank you very much, sir. Enjoyed your session very much. Whoever has written, sir, we spoke about blended learning. Please write one line more. Beautiful combination of traditional and online environment. See, I guess there must be about 60 Anjali in the session, I mean, admitted to the course.
Sir, they keep on increasing. We have around more than 150 to 200 start viewing the sessions. Within
great,
next 10
great.
minutes, around
friends,
so people join, sir.
Friends, teachers, this is feedback for you. This is online education. This is blended education. Out of 150, no more than 15 have responded. When you are in front of a teacher, you respond. You respond to the eyes. Here you are confident. You are responding to the camera. You have switched off your camera. I'm not seeing you. This will happen when you do blended learning. And this is what we talked about the other day, that you have to get accustomed to teaching camera, teaching to nobody, but reaching out to many, many more numbers that you do in a classroom. Good. I will have one more. How blended learning requires a good presenter and a motivated teacher. Great, great. keep writing to me. I will quickly summarize what we had done that day.
So as sir is saying, we request you to keep on writing so that from side by side we keep on. Dr.
Exactly.
Saloni Arora is going to read out the comments from time to time whenever in between the lecture sir is asking. Saloni?
Yes. I'll be talking about more theoretical things today, but let me quickly go over and
I request you to keep on giving the comments from time to time whenever sir is pausing his lecture to know. The same, you just keep it on one side and read it out to him, sir.
yes, so all the pertinent comments. So I will invite all those who are watching to keep sending their comment. This is blended learning. This is blended learning. I'm trying to do what I am preaching. This you have to do when you use blended learning.
Yes, sir.
Let me quickly now go and give you a feel of what we are talking about.
Saloni, please do it
Blended
along.
learning.
Thank you.
Blended default. We had finished that session the other day on the question, will the teacher be replaced ultimately if we have blended learning? If we have technology mediated education or teaching learning process, will the teacher be done away with? We won't require teachers. And we had said no. Teacher is the default. We cannot do in teaching learning process in education without the teacher. The teacher is center stage. What are we doing when we are talking about blended learning? Let me raise a few questions. Are we talking about blended learning because we are in a pandemic situation and it has become essential that we have blended learning so that it is technology mediated? The other day also we talked about that, is it online education? Would blended learning mean only online education? No. Blended learning will not mean only online education. There can be blending of various media and various technologies. Various technologies. My first exercise was an exercise in this. Let me do a meta-analysis of what we are doing. We are on a platform where we could be face-to-face interacting on a distance platform. You need not be in my room, in my classroom, but you are watching me, I'm lecturing to you, and you can send me your questions, you can unmute yourself, you can ask me questions. So practically, it is expected that we are in a face-to-face communication. What did we do? Instead, we thought we will only permit a few people to be on the platform, rest will watch it on the YouTube. Are we using all the capabilities of the medium? If the medium, this technology, had the capacity to provide two-way video communication, face-to-face communication, make it as close to live as possible, why did we not utilize that? And that is why I thought, just to make you alert, take that word very carefully, just to make you alert, I said, quickly scribble one line. I asked you, take a phone number, write it. If you are not ready for a lecture, you did not have your pen and pencil because you only wanted your attendance and a certificate that I attended because you need API. I'm going into this analysis because today's session is about analyzing how blended learning will be successful or unsuccessful, and what the research says in the last 50, 55, 60 years of research in media mediated or technology mediated education. So what did I try to do? I wanted to wake you up, tell you, where is your pencil? Where is your paper? You are in a lecture situation. You are sitting to hear a lecture. Then where is your pencil and paper? You started looking for it. Similar thing happens when you are in a classroom. We are trying to replicate, you're trying to create a simulated situation for a classroom. The teacher is center stage. What does the teacher do in a classroom? Adopts various methods to keep you awake, to transfer the content that he or she wants to. So there have been plethora of experiment where we wanted to teach a particular topic, and we had various teachers and various technologies and various media. So what we did, we tested each technology vis-a-vis a teacher. If another person is asked to deliver the same lecture that I'm delivering, would the impact be different? Yes. Every individual does not have the same impact, so every teacher will not have the same impact. That is why in institutions we have we as a students, as researchers, we often say such and such is a good teacher, rest or whoever else is not a good teacher. What makes that difference? And that is what we are trying to imitate in blended learning. So first is the student ready? Is the listener ready? Is it taken as a teaching learning situation? I'm making you alert, I use that word. And is the situation, take this word again very carefully, is the situation teaching learning? So we try to simulate a situation where the learner is as close to a teaching learning situation as in a classroom. Now, the other day we discussed that for blending can be of any combination. Part classroom, part through television, part through telephone, part through audio program. You can record something and send to your students. They can hear it and get the message, learn from it. We have various combinations of blending. Blending, we cannot define in one line. I wonder if you people have seen a document that the University Grants Commission has recently issued, that 60% of teaching in the universities can be through face-to-face and 40% can be blended. I mentioned the other day that blending or open education, openness is a concept. You can have 5% openness, you can have 95% openness. So a course can be 50% open, 50% face-to-face. Like in training programs, I mentioned that where you have to develop skills, you need to have perhaps face-to-face, but a large part of skill development can also take place through distance mode. Which will be the most appropriate technology? And technology is not all. Which will be the medium? By medium, I mean audio, visual, and there are various other methods, exercises. What I did now was an exercise, just to make you alert, to put you in that classroom situation. I said, pick up your pencil, write a number, send a message. Now, this is an exercise that I wanted you to get into so that you become alert that you are in a teaching learning situation. I'm answering the question that was asked last day. Will the teacher be replaced? Will blended learning or technology mediated learning replace the teacher ultimately? Because we'll have one day when all the content will be translated in visual, audio, blah, 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 medium or online education. So would we be in a situation one day where we will not require teachers? No. And that is why I said, if someone else was delivering a lecture on blended learning, may not do the same exercises. So every time you create a new lesson or new exercise or new chapter through blended learning mode, it will depend upon the innovativeness, the creativity of the teacher. I hope you get the two crucial words, innovative and creative. As teachers, you must be innovative. As teachers, you must be creative. If you intend to use blended learning in your teaching learning process, keep in mind every lecture, if it is in the same format, it won't be interesting. Every lecture, you have to bring in something new which will tickle your learners. ये कुछ नया हो गया, इसके लिए तैयार नहीं थे, ये तो मैम ने आज कुछ नई बात कर दी. And when you do that every time, then students come to your class saying, कुछ ना कुछ तो नया होगा आज, आज पता नहीं मैम क्या लेके आएंगी. 80% of the world teaching population is of women, so we must address the teaching community as C. So blended learning has not one definition, it can have many definitions, and what I did was one definition. क्या आप अपने क्लास में जो बच्चे नहीं आए हैं उनको कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं और उनका अटेंशन कैसे ग्रैब कर सकते हैं. So these things we talked about the other day, and also we talked about three major blocks of blending. Three major blocks of blending. What were they? The teacher, the content, what is to be taught, which medium would be most suitable for this, and the third was the learner. What would tickle the learner? Is the learner a person from or a learner from a rural background? Is the learner exposed to television, radio, has an Android phone? If he or she doesn't have an Android phone, how can we reach still? We talked about recording a small audio, sending it, asking them to watch it or hear it on the Android phone of someone who they can access, who they can ask to show them. Blended learning does not have one definition. The definition of blended learning will vary from situation to situation and student to student. It is the best means to make teaching learning individualized. How can we provide most appropriate content as well as process to the learner? In a classroom situation, we do it through personal interaction. And as I mentioned, I'll be talking about it because the National Education Policy 2020 says that we had about 26.3% participation in higher education, and by 2040, we intend to make it 50%. So are we talking about blended learning because we want to push some students in distance mode? That makes me ask, is it a second-rate education? And because we are not able to provide first-rate education to all, we want to push some to the second-rate education, that is distance education. And that is why the emphasis of blended learning. No, the answer is definite no. Blended learning is more challenging. Blended learning is more challenging. And it will require more training. I had mentioned, teachers in higher education do not require training. There you have mature students and you transfer your content because you are well educated, done a PhD, you know your discipline, so you don't need any training to transact. Your contact, your lecture is adequate. But as soon as we convert that teaching learning process to that is a blended learning, every teacher will require some sort or some form of training and understanding of technology as well as media. Mostly I'm repeating, but then I believe it is important because if we are going to do blended learning in future, these would be very helpful to you in making your lectures, your session, your teaching learning blended. The way we are doing in India is not the right way to do blended learning. You need training. You need training in what? As I mentioned, We don't need training to be teachers in higher education. We need training to be teachers in school education, because there we handle in a particular manner, we treat them in a particular manner, but 18 plus don't require that. They understand. So in higher education, we don't need. As soon as we change the pedagogy of higher education, that means we want to make our teaching learning blended, we need training. Because now the pedagogy is different. The process is different. It is not only transfer of content, it is transfer of content through a mediated platform where you need to understand that platform. I hope, friends, colleagues, you get the question that if we intend to switch over from classroom teaching to blended learning, we will require, every individual will require some sort of a training in the different platforms that we are going to use and the media that we are going to use. Otherwise, we won't be able to do. The freedom, the autonomy to the teacher is utmost. And now added is the resources. Do you have a studio to record your lessons? Do you have gadgets to record? Because now it is no more a single actor in the classroom. You go with your notes to a classroom and you lecture, but when it is blended learning, it is no more only you, your content, and your children in a classroom. We have mastered the pedagogy of teaching in a classroom over centuries. Now we are shifting. Then you require training. I'm raising this because I'm worried that the UGC document, which says 60% face-to-face, 40% blended, will work. Ultimately, 5 years down the line, we'll come up with the finding it did not work, and the teaching learning through online was second rate or poor. We need to raise these questions again and again. Globally, blended learning or online education started in the mid-70s. And side by side, research on the impact started. Listen to this very carefully. Why my students don't perform well? Have you asked yourself that question and again and again? Why did X student not do well in exam? You ask that question yourself, and then you work on that student and make that student learn. Here, the medium is different. In the West, work on it started in the 70s, that when we do a teaching learning through online, through various technologies, what will be the impact of this technology on teaching learning? So blended learning will not be in isolation. Three things: teacher, the content, and the learner. Teachers we have already talked about. Learner are different, access and other things. The content, which medium, which technology will be most suitable for which content. Perhaps if I can rush the answer to you, every content can be transacted through every medium or platform, that is television or radio or online, as well as the media, whether it is audio or video, on television, on computer. So now you see the combinations. What is a laptop? I'm only raising questions. I can see some questions on the side now, so I can read as well. But I'll let me complete this line of thought, then I'll come to read this and answer. Your laptop screen is also a TV screen. Would the transfer of content be the same? It's a very important research globally done in the 70s, and it's going on right up till now, and we have not been able to arrive at an answer. What is a television screen? Is it a classroom? No. It's a medium of entertainment. Have you been to a classroom? Have you been to a classroom to watch a soap opera? Have you been to a classroom to watch a movie? No. You go to a classroom prepared mentally to get a new concept, a new idea, or a new area. And that is how your mental frame is about a classroom. But when you sit before a television set, what is your mental makeup? I have summarized what I had done the other day. Now I'm going ahead with various media, technologies, and research on that, and how we can make blended with various platforms. When we sit before a television, and now I think the generation which is watching me or hearing me has grown up with television. We are the ones who were exposed to television only during our 30s or 40s, maybe late 20s. So we grew up without a television. You have not grown up without a television. And why do you switch on a television set? To watch a film, or maybe these days to watch news. Now, if you are told to sit before a television and listen to a serious lecture, what would be your mental makeup? There was a very important study done during the late 60s between Israeli and American children. Gabriel Salomon did this very important experiment. I'm talking about how you can choose the medium, the platform, the technology to transfer your content, reach your content to your learners, and what would be the implication. This is what I'm trying to answer. Two things were taken. One was the same teacher taught a lesson in the classroom, which was recorded and that was shown to children in American families. As soon as the lesson started, and in fact, it was in both classroom situation as well as home. As soon as this lesson started, the children got relaxed and they started watching the television like this. But when the same lesson was shown to the Israeli children who were not exposed to television, they were told, you have a lesson which you have to watch and then you will be tested. The other day I had not told you that I'll be asking you a question. You were unprepared. But if I had told you that next session we'll start with a question which I'll give you and you have to answer, you would have tried to remember what can be the question. What should I write? So the final conclusion was that Israeli children learned more from the television because they were mentally prepared to watch the program and learn from it. The American children were so exposed to television that they did not take the medium seriously. Can I extend that question? In the school setting, we have a process of practice teaching where trainee teachers come and teach in the class and they teach the children. When the trainee teachers come, children don't take them seriously. They don't learn as much as they learn from their own teachers because they take their teachers more seriously. Here also the same thing happened. The American children who are so used to watching television as an entertainment platform, medium, they did not take the lessons very seriously. Israeli children, on the contrary, because they were not corrupted by the television, they had not been exposed so much to the television that they took it seriously. And at the end of the day, when both the groups were examined, the Israeli children learned more from television lesson than the American children. Do you have an answer for it? Can you answer the question, when you are doing a blended learning program, how would you select your medium now? For whom? It's not a neutral concept. It is not amorphous. It has a message of its own. It contributes, depends upon the learner medium interaction before. So if the learner is too exposed to the medium, then the learning would be low. What did I say? Every teacher tries to make one's lecture more exciting, innovative, something new, either through examples or through acting. We are all actors in our classrooms. We act, we get angry, we laugh, we wink at someone. Why do we do that in a classroom? I'm not lecturing you on making your classroom more interesting. I am talking to you about making education or your lessons blended. So when you have to do blending, you have to keep in mind, how are you going to bring in these elements of a classroom on your platform? One is the television screen that I just talked to you about. This screen has the capacity to multiply you and reach out to many, but it also tires. And when the audience is tired, you cannot reach the same message to everyone. Okay, then I'll read. I have two more examples to give you. No, I agree. We can certainly go to classroom to see a movie if that is what the purpose of a course is. No, but I'm talking about a general definition of a classroom. What do we do normally in a classroom? Clever choice of medium has to be made. Good. Each university can offer more without 1,000 courses. University of Washington alone offers more than 6,500 courses for a student to choose from. We can too provide more the option. That's okay, but I'm talking about making blended. So universities can offer more courses. Blended learning and credit courses could have been very well integrated with existing curriculum. Completely agree. We can have face-to-face classroom as well as blended. So part of it can be blended. Part of it can be classroom. Part of it can be online or flipped classroom. Laptop with a microphone and web camera along with recent version of PowerPoint is useful to record, edit, and publish a video lecture on HD quality. Fancy recording might not require. Yeah, I agree. But what I want to say is that you have to make your lecture, your lesson more innovative. And that is where I'm answering again the same question. Can teacher be replaced? No, first teacher cannot be replaced because teacher is innovative. Teacher is creative, brings in new ideas every time. That stands true for technology as well. That stands true for technology as well. If you do not have new ideas in creating a new lesson, it will not be interesting, it will not be accepted, and it will not work with the, depending upon the student differences, we have to select the medium. Quite completely agree. I gave you this example of the American and Israeli children and how television can be useful or not useful for a particular group. Similar is the treatment with a classroom. Actually, another classroom experiment was done with Kale. I'm forgetting the spelling of the name. Keil. Milke. Sorry, Mielke, Milke. What he did was, he had a teacher in a classroom who was lecturing, and the lecture was carried through a television set or online to another class in the adjacent room. See, what is being done is to create identical situation. The teacher had a group of students sitting in front of him, and the message, the lecture was being transmitted to another adjacent room where the students saw the lecture on a television screen. This classroom students did not have the opportunity or the permission to ask questions. When you ask questions, when you have the opportunity to ask questions, then, or make observations like you are doing now, you are more alert. You are more alert. When you know you don't have the opportunity to ask questions, when you know you are not in an interactive situation, then you relax, saying it's one way. One way and two way makes all the difference. Right. The experiment showed that the children who were in two different situations had identical, almost identical learning experience. Medium did not make a difference. There is a long debate. There is a long debate on this, whether medium will make a difference. The other day I had only mentioned about Clark-Kozma debate. I will go in slight detail on that. The medium did not make a difference. The teacher was the same, delivered the same lecture. The student sitting in front without the permission to ask questions, and the students sitting in the other room who were watching the lecture on the television screen had almost the same learning levels. From this experiment and similar experiments, what Salomon did with American and Israeli children, we have concluded one thing, the researchers. Learning is directly proportional to effort made. Learning is directly proportional to effort made. The Israeli children made more effort. Good, that horse example, that the teacher and the learner had to make effort. Yes, I completely agree, and that is what I'm summarizing. Good observation, very good observation. In my view, blended learning demands us some level of discipline from the teacher and the learner. It is thus something close to taking a horse to the water, and we cannot make it drink if the horse is not interested in. It is high time we dissolve the rubrics of learning and entertaining mediums and try to recognize the potential of every tool, irrespective of past significance. No, that cannot happen. That cannot happen. You are once corrupted, you cannot be uncorrupted. You have been trained to watch a television screen for entertainment, and that experiments in the last 50 years has told us. I'm happy you are making that observation. Whoever has made it, do a test. Use television for teaching and teach to a live audience or live students. See what will be the outcome. Because the research says that learning is directly proportional to effort made. When you are told that you will be tested after this class, you will have a question paper to answer. You will be given a certificate of participation only if you get 60%. Then whole mental setup and your effort. And that is what I'm trying to talk about. Marshall McLuhan said long back, I think it was in the 80s, a picture is worth 1,000 words. That is being disproved. A picture is not worth 1,000 words. An effort is worth 1,000 words. A picture can have many messages, what you can describe in 1,000 words, but then unless and until you make effort, I'll come to the another part of it in a moment, but then what is important is teaching learning in a blended mode using various technologies and media is that the learner has to make effort, and the creativity of the teacher is important. if your blended learning lesson module is creative, is innovative, puts challenges every time, if keeps the learner on tenterhooks, then the learning would be high because the learner is involved. Learner is making efforts, and you have designed your lesson in a manner that the learner will be involved all the time. This is what the research has proved. I'm trying to take you through the whole experience of the research in last 60 years in the West. Unfortunately, in India, there is very little research on teaching, learning, and use of technology and media. But this is all based on Western studies. Perhaps we'll start with it and come out with findings. No, can the blended learning lead to over simulation? It will depend upon the teacher. It will depend upon the teacher. See, the question and the whole issue whether teacher can be replaced is being answered again and again. Whether you want your lesson to be more simulated, good. You will have to then study and find out where in a lesson where you had more simulation, landed up or resulted in more learning, then that will become the model. But then once you start using it so frequently, it will tire the learner, it will bore the learner. There are two things about media augmented or media supported teaching learning is that the learner, a human being, doesn't tire you very soon. A live teacher in a classroom has, that is what I'm trying to say. And I believe globally research on media augmented teaching has proved and said is that the teacher is the default. The teacher knows the methods and media and has the technology to keep the learner awake and alert. When you use a medium in between, that these are the three pillars: the teacher, the learner, and the content mediated through either face-to-face or technology and media. You have to learn and understand the middle column very carefully. Which medium? Which technology? We have answered the question yesterday that if children don't have or learners don't have access or they don't possess the machine, then how would they learn? That has to be taken care, and I think we'll leave that. But after that, teacher has to decide. If you over simulate, it will bore your learners. It will tire your learners. The learning will very fast fall down. And that is what I was trying to explain through summarizing the research of Gabriel Salomon. Do a Google search and you will find that very interesting article available. In fact, I read it only after I had talked to you in the previous session. Very interesting experiments. What I told you about this teacher who taught in a class and the adjacent class was taught on the television screen. The second very important is between the American and the Israeli children. The conclusion is learning is directly proportional to effort made. How can you make your learners make more effort online? Online definitely has the weakness of not having face-to-face, not able to exert that teacher pressure through your eyes. I can see you, Ramesh, I can see you. Jyoti, don't look out of the window. Be attentive. You are not able to say that on technology. How would you do that when you have to create a program and do it? I will leave this argument here, go to the next argument. I think I have been able to explain to you. Blended learning is not something. I think this question is a difficult question, sir. As per blended learning in education, how much minimum and maximum course can be enrolled by students? Overlapping will affect learner. I can't answer this question. There are courses which are heavily loaded, but because the learner is so motivated that one can cope with the pressure. Go to do some of the MIT courses. You will have to work more than you do in a regular course. So well designed, so well designed. And I don't want to put all the efforts in my country down, but I must say we have not worked enough. We needed to do more work before we go online and blended. We have not done the research. In classroom teaching, you don't need to do research in how a teacher should teach in a classroom. We have enough and we know and we do it. But in blended learning, you need to have micro studies. Who is the learner? What is the background? Which is the technology? And how would one cope? All these questions. Blended learning is the best method of teaching from which learner gets maximum benefits. Exactly. What are the techniques to make students more attentive, especially those who are tired of increased screen time? Exactly. Adopt various methods. Adopt various methods. Break your chunks. There is so much literature. Perhaps I'll be shifting from my main stream of lecture to something else. See, your attention span, the attention span of learners is fixed. And that also depends upon the background of the learners and the level of the learners. Can you expect a class 8 child, a 14-year-old, to watch a 30-minute video program? If it is content filled, I have already talked to you about ephemeral programs that is on broadcast and recorded. You have the assurance today that this lecture or this interaction will be available on the internet immediately after this lecture is over. So you are comfortable. Even if I miss something, how does it matter? I'll go and see it again. But if it was told that it will not be recorded, it will not be available to you, and you will have to write a test based on this lecture, would the mental setup be different? You have to decide. That is why I'm answering your question, that you have to decide how much content, in what speed, if it is a recorded program or if it is on a broadcast program. If it is on broadcast, ephemeral, one time, never again, then the whole mental setup will be different. And if you are being tested, if you are being given a certificate just on the basis of your participation, how serious can you be? And if you are not serious, how much learning will take place? I've already made you aware that when the same lessons were given to American children and the Israeli children, what happened? In a classroom situation, at home situation. In a classroom, you're attentive. You know you're in a teaching learning situation. At home, you're not. There are various things going on. These things matter. Do we have research on that? I may be raising foolish questions, but they need to be researched so that we get answers and then plan our blended learning. We cannot do the way we are doing now. Suddenly, we are told 40% can be blended, and we started putting blended learning. Just transfer the text on a PDF file and give it to everyone. This is blended learning. No, that is not. Yes, we talked about importance of television and radio for teaching to rural people, but then not without this pedagogy. We had mentioned about pedagogy of classroom and pedagogy of ICT, which you need to understand. We cannot reach good teachers, good content to rural people. We cannot reach too many, but then we need to understand the medium as well. Today, what I am trying to emphasize is that it is not just as you teach in a classroom, you teach through blended learning. And let me go to the second very important aspect. I'm afraid I may exhaust my time. Blended learning is not an individual's job. I decide to teach. Things have changed. Today, there is no one to assist me. Only the, I think, Ramanujam College team is there, which is managing that program is going on well. If there is no tripping, and if the program or the system trips, the person will again put it on and all that. In the true sense of blended learning, it is not only the teacher who decides. This is very important, and try to understand this very carefully. There's one thing as content. The more important is the mediator, the teacher. I have told you that a person who is teaching in a classroom to 40, 50, even if the teacher stammers or makes pronunciation which is not understood by all, which is regional in pronunciation, how can that person be teaching to large numbers? Blended learning is for large numbers. It is beyond boundaries. Once my lecture after I have finished this session is on the YouTube, can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Now, if my pronunciation is not standard, I don't agree much with it. I'm not a Britisher, so I shouldn't be speaking or can't be speaking the standard British pronunciation, but I may be speaking a standard English Indian pronunciation, which may not be understood by population elsewhere. So, in blended learning, teaching is a teamwork. Teaching is a teamwork. This is very important lesson for all those who want to make a blended learning course or blend courses. This term has now been, people have started using this term. I'm doing a blend or blend course. What will happen? You will decide as a teacher, as the content king, what I want to reach out to my student. Through this lesson, what do I want to teach? The producer will tell you, if it is a video program or the audio producer, how you should show it, what will be the angle of the camera. I hope you are all clear. Blended learning will either be online. So even then you have to create video, which can be put online. You have to divide your text, the written text, into parts and put it on the screen and blah, blah, blah. I'll come to that. Audio as well. I mentioned, I believe, and I will mention again. हम सब गाना सुनते हैं. We all listen to music. I have a feeling we have audience from all over the India, so I'm sticking to English. Although I must confess, I'm more comfortable in Hindi. Listen to two people singing the same song. Where the person puts the emphasis, the accent, the tone makes the difference. And that is why we have great singers like in Hindi, Kishore Kumar, Mukesh, Mohammad Rafi. How they put that extra sugar in the song. You have to do that. Unlike a classroom, when you're recording for masses, it must convey and it must be pronounced in a particular manner that your producer decides, because producer has the ears. And your cameraman decides, or audio, the person who is behind the machine decides, sir, your emphasis is not at the right place. You change your accent. Because what you're saying conveys this. What is meant is this. Through accent and tone, we can change the message. Through a blink of eye, through movement of hand, through background, through things in the frame, the message changes. And that the producer does. The purpose behind telling you this is, in blended learning, you are not the king. You are the king of the content. You dictate terms to the producer that what I want my students to watch and understand and learn is this, then the producer tells you, you are not able to convey. I'll go to a situation, actual situation, record that, bring in, your voice will be from the background. What will go on the screen is not your face, but something else. I'll read quickly one question. Some students are not interested in a class or subject. Only online interaction with teacher do not make him or interested. Personal interaction and information guiding makes the student interested. Completely agree. Fine. There are various types of students. There are various types of treatment, and the teacher alone knows how to make the student learn more or better and be successful. So in blended learning, it's not the teacher alone, it's the team, and that is why we say it's a team teaching. The producer, the cameraman, the audio recorder, the editor makes all the difference, and that is important in blended learning and teaching online. So will this also impact the learners? Yes, this will impact the learners in the sense that the content which is recorded in a particular milieu. During the 80s, when we started producing programs in India, most of the clips, what I told you, is that my voice will go in the background. The actual picture that is running will be of somewhere else. During the 80s, we had paucity of content, visual content, that we often included clips from West, where you had people who were white, blonde hair. Will the learner connect with that? Will the learner connect with that? Is this being recorded or transmitted for me? Yes. I'm very nice observation. I think the result of blended learning would vary from subject to subject. Face to face is always interesting. I completely agree. I've said, and I will repeat on the basis of this comment that somebody has written, sir, the face to face is always interesting. Yes. And we are all the time trying to come as close to that face to face situation of a classroom. We are trying to replicate a situation, create a situation, either on radio or on television or online education. As soon as we talk of blended learning today, we talk only of blended learning because this is the latest. I had mentioned, and I will repeat, that blended learning does not mean only online education. The laptop screen was the platform which combined all. It has the capacity to bring in the audio that you have, the video recorded lessons that you have. It also has the capacity now, because it is online, to bring live interaction. So perhaps a very close to a classroom situation. Although I don't agree. I don't agree. There are so many attributes, media attributes, technology attributes, learner attributes, teacher attributes, which count towards making a blended learning, teaching learning situation. To review once again, if the teacher doesn't have the media attributes, I'm not very familiar with television, I'm not very familiar with a camera, I'm not very comfortable talking to a camera and not a live audience, how would I be lecturing? I'm imagining all of you are hearing me, but I don't know how could I, unless and until I'm trained for hours to do this. Similarly, how can you, in a classroom situation, what do you do? Okay, let me see. Okay. Wait. On a camera, you don't do this. As soon as I start consulting my notes, you get disinterested. On a camera, you have to have different techniques. I'm reading from a prompter, which is in front of me. So normally you have a prompter in front, which helps you remember the points. But if I don't have, just like today, I don't have a prompter, I have to consult my notes. As soon as I look in the diary or my notes, you get disinterested. Your attention goes. What is the attention span? This is very, very important. Face-to-face is always interesting on the observation. That face-to-face is interesting because even if the teacher is not talking to you, you have that person in front of you. But there are methods to make one interested or engage. And I would conclude in a way what Salomon concluded, that learning is directly proportional to effort made. And you make effort because you have certain objectives. The learner makes efforts because the learner has certain objectives. What can those objectives be? I want to learn. I'm sitting in your lecture because I want to learn. And so part of the problem is solved. In a classroom situation, all may not be interested in learning. In a blended learning online course, distance mode course, you can rest assured, by and large, everyone who has committed to give you time is interested. So that is taken for granted. In a classroom situation, the onus is on the teacher to keep the learner engaged. In a distance mode, we take our learners almost for granted that the learner is interested. That is why he or she is attending this course. So that part is taken care. But then the rest, I don't bore my learners. That part is very important in blended learning. How do you make your blended learning engaging and interesting? By breaking into chunks. We call it as attention span. Is it not constructivism, the practice, what NCF 2005 talks about individualistic learning program, also an example for blended learning in offline mode of education? And we were just talking today, we are about to come up with the National Curriculum Framework 2021. Did we really practice with constructivism? The 2005 NCF, did it make our schools constructivist schools? And where classrooms converted into constructivist models classrooms? Fine. I mean, what you're saying for blended learning, you will find it very difficult to make your lessons constructivist. You bank on previous learning of your learners in a constructivist model. The previous learning is very, very important. But in a blended learning program or a course or a classroom, the audience is so diverse. You don't have control over the audience. So you have to be very careful that you create those bricks yourself. Some students maybe don't even understand the basics of your lesson. And that is what I said yesterday, that I have mentioned again and again, who am I lecturing to? Who am I talking to? I'm talking to young lecturers who have recently joined the profession and they want to make their lesson blended. I cannot claim that these lectures are for the school teachers, although I think the school teachers will be the same level, so they can get as much message or ideas from the two sessions that I had as university teachers. But then you have to make clear, so that constructivist idea will find perhaps some hiccups being accepted here. The audience is so diverse, the conditions are so diverse that you will find it difficult. The message is fixed. What is to be delivered? The medium are different. Clark gave a very good example. He said, whether the bread is delivered through a lorry or a bullock cart will make no difference to the caloric value of the bread. The message that is delivered through video lesson or an audio lesson or a blended learning class or a video, online, will not matter unless and until the treatment is good. The selection of the medium is good. Technology is like a lorry. Online platform is like a lorry. It gives you all the possibility of experimenting and making your program very dynamic. Similarly, a video screen is the same. Can you not devise some exercises on a video lesson? We have done that. And what did I do now? I wanted to engage an online class where I have one-way interaction through a mobile and tell you, engage with it, be active. Because experience says only when you make your learners active, they learn. That is how we break into chunks. What is the attention span in a video class? At the moment, I believe it is live, but for you, it is a video class. You're not able to interact. I'm not able to see you. If I was able to see you on the screen and call, where are you? What are you doing? Can you ask me a question? Or can you tell me this? Then the attention span would have been different. You would know that within code, the teacher can call my name anytime. But there are other ways. You have a 2-hour long, although 2 hours is very long for a video classroom or video lesson, but then if you break it into chunks, we normally say for an audio lesson, the attention span is maximum 15-16 minutes. Don't make an audio program of more than 15-16 minutes. I'm not talking of exceptions. When you are hearing a statesman, a prime minister, our prime minister does Mann Ki Baat, people hear, but that is also transferred into video nowadays. How long can you hear? Ask someone who has heard Mann Ki Baat. That, this is an offhand example. Ask someone who heard the Mann Ki Baat towards the beginning when the Prime Minister did, and now when one can also see on video. Okay? Ask people on which gadget do you watch the Mann Ki Baat. Mann Ki Baat is not live. Prime Minister is not alive. He has recorded and he is not also seen. Do a research on that. People would like, that's my hunch, would like to hear the Mann Ki Baat on a television rather than a radio. Although Mann Ki Baat has made radio more popular these days, but then this is a good example. All content can be transferred through audio. Some may not be, where you really require visual communication, but then you have to choose your platform very intelligently. I believe that question has gone. Classroom learning is not interesting now. The less number of students are showing this. So as teacher, we must flip our traditional method to, no, not at all. I don't know who wrote it. Classroom learning is not interesting now. It will all depend upon a classroom teacher. We wait to hear a good lecturer deliver a good lecture. So it is not that classroom has lost, and it will never lose. Classroom will always remain center stage. All we are trying to do is replicate what a teacher can do in classroom. Here, more efforts are to be made from teacher side than learner to engage the students and make him content more interesting as well as fruitful as per requirement. There are two things that I will say in answer to this. I'll read this again so that all of you can hear it. More efforts are to be made from teacher side than learner to engage the students and make his content more interesting as well as fruitful as per requirement. No. In a classroom teaching, the onus is on the teacher. Fellow teachers, hear this very carefully. In a classroom situation, the onus is on the teacher. Why do I say this? You go to a classroom and you don't act, you don't smile, you don't shout, you don't make your voice slow. We are all actors in a classroom, and that is how we keep our students engaged, besides the content transfer. Some of us know more, better informed, and know more how to deliver well. We have to keep learning this so that the students are engaged. The onus in a classroom is on the teacher. The onus on blended learning is on the student. That is what we say in distance education. We promise education at doorsteps. We promise education at doorsteps. We don't promise certificate at doorsteps. If you work hard, you will get a certificate. If you don't work hard, you won't pass. The onus in distance education, in blended learning, in online education is on the learner. If we have recorded our lecture, we have given you the material. Now, devote as much time as you can and learn and get the optimal level of learning to pass the exam. If you are not able to, then you are not suitable, not fit for the distance education. Here, the onus is on the learner instead of the teacher. So, that is why distance education is dynamic. You have to keep it changing all the time. The teacher in the classroom brings in new content, new examples every time. And that is why a teacher is interesting or is popular. When a teacher fails to bring in new examples in distance mode, you have to, or blended learning, you have to keep evolving. You have to keep changing your material, and that again answers that the teacher will be centered. You cannot record a program on even 3 laws of motion and use it for the next 20 years. No, you will have to keep giving new examples, new clips, new videos to make it relevant for today. Our lectures are relevant for today as on date. We cannot say I recorded it in 1990 and now you watch this program. Nobody will watch it. Examples will be obsolete. And that is how we make our lectures interesting. In blended learning, that's another challenge. To keep your content contextual, contextualize your content. In every medium, in every platform, you have various options. Even in audio program, you have the option of stop, do this exercise, come back after 5 minutes. Do this exercise in 10 minutes and then hear the rest of the program. Otherwise, you won't. In blended learning, what is online, what we have been publishing as self-instructional material, what do we say? We break our material into chunks and then say at the end of a section, don't read for any further, go and do this exercise. Only when you have completed this exercise, come back and read the next of the next section. Otherwise, you won't be able to make sense of it. So, whether it is printed text, whether it is audio program, you have various possibilities, but you have to be creative just as you have to be creative in a classroom. Blended learning is not a formula which can be given, but it is a method which you will perhaps do, and on the way you will master the process. I think these are the major issues in making our education blended learning. All the questions you have been asking, so I believe there are no more questions as well, but if there are more questions, I'll answer. I have only this much to share with you, that blended learning is not one formula. It cannot be said in one line, this is blended learning and this is how you have to do it first. Second, it has to be creative, just as a classroom teacher. We are replicating teacher through mediated technologies. our agenda cannot be that because we have to increase from 26.3% to 50% of enrollment ratios, we have to go with blended learning or online education. That cannot be the agenda of blended learning. Blended learning is more difficult. Blended learning needs more training. Blended learning requires understanding of various technologies that you will be using. In a classroom, you don't really require that training to teach in a classroom. But when you are using technologies, when you are using various media, you need training in using creatively the technologies. And because it is not, it's like a truck which delivers bread. It doesn't add or subtract to the caloric value. Media does that. Who will be the presenter? Would you yourself be doing it? Are you good enough to present on a television screen? And you also have to keep in mind whether this, what I'm delivering, will be seen on a laptop or on a big screen. How will it make a difference? These are issues which you will have to understand to make your teaching learning process blended. What we are at the moment doing of issuing an office order that you can do 40% blended learning, I don't think that will work. We need training in understanding the platform itself. Look at the SWAM courses and look at the courses on the MIT platform. I just mentioned some of the MIT programs. I have done a few. It's so engrossing. It just sucks your full time. You cannot do anything during the period you're doing the courses. Can you make your program so challenging? And can you make your students work as much as they require to do in a classroom situation? It's not as simple as we understand that just use of recorded video and that makes it blended. No, it requires so much of thinking, so much of research, so much of understanding, and it cannot be just globally true unless and until you have that training to understand global audiences and global learning community or learner community. A teacher have to learn how tools, software, and land purchase them, but for some of the teachers they are costly. Again, cost question I have not taken up. Cost is a no issue for me. Cost is a no issue for me. As far as technology is concerned, I have not taken up, but then I must say India is the only country in the world which had a satellite for education. No country could afford it, not even US, because we have the demographic dividend. The satellite cost 1 rupee per child here. That would have cost millions of dollars per student in US. So US never had a television, a whole satellite for education. India is the only country in the world. We have wasted one full satellite. We are rich enough to waste a satellite, the EduSat, which was launched in 2004, and we let it burn out. And I think it had a life of 7 years. It died in 6 years, I think 10. It burnt out, and we did not use even 15% of the full capacity. But when you use your courses, your resources in a country like India, you reach out to millions. And only then you can do it. But then we also, yes, a very important thing that must be mentioned is blended learning online education has the capacity to reach many. A good lesson will do a lot of good to many, but a bad lesson will similarly spoil many more. And I mentioned yesterday that technology divides. Only the rich and the affluent have access to the best devices, best gadgets, and in the times to come, only the best teachers will be teaching on the most expensive platforms. So the digital divide would be double, in the sense they will not be able to get the best lessons. I must confess that the best technologies also have better qualities to deliver, to carry messages. The obsolete have to be made relevant, have to be used in a more experimental way. So the digital divide is going to be double, and cost is a different issue. If we want, we can do it. We have community centers. The hole in the wall experiment of Greater Kailash in Delhi is replicated globally. So we have a scope, but then I think we need to experiment, research, and do a massive training, make resources available. We don't have those resources available to the teachers, and we don't even give opportunities. I will end by saying teacher has to be center stage more than the classroom teaching. A classroom teaching lesson is for 40, 50, 100 students for 50 minutes, but an online lesson will reach out to millions. A poor lesson on the platform will do more damage than a classroom teaching. So we have to be very careful with the blended learning. We have just issued, or we want to say that we have reached 50% gross enrollment ratios because we could make our courses blended or online or reachable to all, but then we will realize 2040 we did more damage. Research is poor in blended learning, technology augmented education, online education, very little research on it. We need to do side by side because we have no research in India particularly. I'm using that word, no research in India vis-a-vis online education. We have created content. We have created SWAM, which is commendable. We have SWAM Prabha, which is commendable, but there's no research. How is the SWAM working? How is the levels of learning increasing because of SWAM, or it is only providing certificates and diplomas and degrees? We have to be very careful. We have to do more research, and we have to definitely bring the teacher center stage if we want to make blended learning a success. If we don't give that authority, that independence, that freedom to the teacher to experiment with various technologies, to innovate new things, how to reach out, how to communicate with distance learners, we won't be able to do it. We had a distance education council, we closed it. We merged it with the UGC, believing we don't require a parallel system. Now, after the pandemic, we are in a situation where we have no agency to understand and augment distance mode. We need to do more work. Blended learning is very strong, very powerful. Globally, it is doing well. But if we want to do it in India, we will need more research and more work. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, another very informative and enriching session. The way you said that we're able to provide education at its doorstep, but not the certificate. I mean, it's so true how everything is being done, but ultimately it's the responsibility of the one who wants to learn it. Everything is being provided, but if we are able to learn it in the best of our spirits, then we have it all. All efforts will fail if we don't give our best to it. Also, sir, the way you said that two singers singing the same song, I mean, it really made a difference that how it's just that effort. It's just our effort, our knowledge skill that we're able to deliver to our target audience. If we're able to do that, I think it's a win-win situation. All the questions that have been asked that we haven't been able to engage, or we might face difficulty in engaging our students, I think it all ends here if we are giving our best. Because if we are constantly, as you said, engaging ourselves, our task here, our motive here is that we have to learn, relearn, engage, re-engage, and then give the best. So the final outcome, I'm sure, will be fruitful here. So it gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this session as well. Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor to have you with us here. Also, on behalf of the participants, also, I would like to say that the chats have been flooded with messages that you've answered all our queries, and it's been a very informative session, and everything that even the slightest of doubts have been cleared. So thank you so much.
Thank you. My privilege entirely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sharma. It was a treat listening.
Ma'am, volume, ma'am, thoda sa.
I think there is some problem with the net, Anjali.
No, ma'am.
No, I can hear you very clearly.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. It was really a treat listening to you. And
My
I
privilege,
think
ma'am.
you
Thank
have
you very
said
much.
the golden words that obsolescence will set in if the teacher does not evolve. And each time, there were times I remember when yesterday one of our speakers had mentioned that teachers would come with old yellowed, registers in the 80s and 90s. But today, if the audio is the same, students are not going to be bothered about you. So I think we are the king of the content, as you have
Yes.
very rightly said, sir. And it's and belonging to the largest university in the world for distance learning, sir. You were very lucid in your presentation, and there are a lot of takeaways for each one of us. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. My privilege entirely. Thank you for inviting and giving me this opportunity to share with the larger audience beyond IGNOU and my community. Thank you very much. Thank you. आपका बहुत बहुत आभार.
Thank
धन्यवाद.
you,
नमस्कार.
sir. Thank you so
नमस्कार.
much.
Thank you.
We'll continue with the meeting, Priyanka Saloni,
Thank you, ma'am.
by unmuting and stopping our videos. Huh? We'll let it be on YouTube live. Okay? Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Jaker. How are you?
All good, ma'am. Jai Gurudev, ma'am.
A very good afternoon, sir. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Anjali.
Good afternoon, sir.
So for this session, we have with us Dr. Rekha Dayal ma'am. She'll be around with us. Then Dr. Priyanka Marwa, she'll be taking up the questions, sir, besides your team. And myself, Dr. Anjali Gupta. Also, I think our technical expert has left, Mr. Ravinder. So we are around, sir, for all of you, sir. I think your team member, Sri Lakshmi, has joined, sir.
So, ma'am, I have invited few of the faculty members and
Yes.
deans from our university, as well as a few people from the industry.
You're most welcome, sir.
Yeah.
Ma'am, with your permission, can we start, ma'am?
Yeah, please, Anjali.
Priyanka?
A very good afternoon, sir. On behalf of the Teaching Learning Center, Ramanujan College, along with the Center of Canadian Studies, South Campus, and Indian Association, Accounting Association, NCR chapter, I welcome you, sir, to this 2-week interdisciplinary international refresher course on Academic Bank of Credits, ABC scheme in higher education, UGC regulation 2021, with reference to blended learning. Mr. Jaikar Sudagiri is working as a Deputy Director, Office of the Vice Chancellor and Assistant Professor at the Faculty of Management Studies, Sri Sri University, Cuttack, Odisha. His area of expertise is international business strategy and trade augmentation and practices. A consulting partner with the IIM University, Delhi, Gurugram, and Greater Noida, creating and managing their online courses and programs, along with their courses on SWAYAM, MHRD, Government of India, IIM Bangalore. He is also a freelancer, subject matter expert with IIM Bangalore for SWAYAM and Research Associate for UGC's PG Pathshala 2015-16, University of Delhi for the Commerce Department. He is a member of an associate member of the Academy of Indian Marketing. He is also an expert assessor and trainer with Quality Council of India for the Learning Service Providers, LSPs, with the National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, NABLET, Quality Council of India. Sir is also a business coach with the Business Simulation Games, ILS World, USA, and has been organizing simulation challenges across the country. He has independently developed learning management and content management system for several academic institutions and universities. To name a few, ILMX, SSULMS. He's also the author and designer of social networking based learning management software, granthwali.com. Mr. Jayakar is an MBA in International Business for Department of Commerce, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi, and was placed with Japanese general trading company, Mitsui & Company, India Private Limited, and working at the capacity of manager, international business and basic chemical division, Mumbai. He was responsible for the import and export of C1, C2, C3, and C4 chemicals for the South Asian region. He pursued an MBA program for Japanese university while he was working with Mitsui & Company. He is also an electrical and electronic engineer from the Chhattisgarh Swami Vivekanand Technical University. So we are very, very honored and pleased to have you with us for this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So there are so many entries. My introduction has gone a little long. Thank you for the entire thing. So we'll take up the session, and before we can move forward, there were a lot of people who were registering throughout the night.
Jaikar sir, थोड़ा volume तेज हो सकता है. I think Priyanka.
Now is it good now?
Or is it low only on my end?
I will just check on the YouTube portal and get back. Yes.
Right. So since yesterday, we have received more than 250 instructor registrations on our LMS. And it took me
Yes,
some time.
I already told you in the last session that at that time, only at 2 o'clock, a person was trying since morning, and sir was saying, I have not got the confirmation thing that is there. Like, it will come in due time. So that is what I'm communicating out here to you, sir. Ki confirmations bhi bhejiye.
Yes. So, ma'am, the confirmation side is that whosoever was there trying to log in and get registered till yesterday night, probably 3 o'clock or early in the morning, 4 o'clock also, they were not receiving any mails because we haven't kept that mail open because it gives us too many mails in our organization. But since the request came that the email should be sent, we have done that part. So since morning, whosoever is registered after morning 4 o'clock, they have been receiving the mails. Those who have not received the mails, they just have to refresh their page and they'll get the admin side of RLMS. So that's that.
I think this announcement will do or settle the queries of many participants that is there. So you can start with the session. So thank you.
So if at all, there is a message that appears on the browser which says that congratulations, you have been accepted as an instructor, that itself is one indication that you've been accepted as an instructor. Wait for the email, you just refresh it, and maybe now you will get that dashboard. So in general, I'm making that announcement. So I'll share a presentation for now for the initial 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and then we'll jump on to the activity of doing the thing. So we can have the host can enable me to share the screen. Dr. Priyanka, if you're the host or the co-host.
Priyanka, you are not audible.
Ma'am, I'm just, sir, now you can share your screen. You are a co-host.
So you are a co-host. You can share your screen, sir. I think you have to do something about your
volume.
Yes,
okay.
Because you're not audible. Even Rekha ma'am is saying that.
Okay.
That's true. Volume is a little low.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
ma'am.
just drag my system a little nearby. Is it now good, ma'am?
Yeah, it is better now. Ma'am, is it
better?
Okay now? From my end, it is okay.
Okay. Okay. So, learning management system, that is the topic which we'll be discussing today. And this slide, the next slide basically talks about, when we study one discipline at a time, we are like a bunch of people in the dark trying to understand what an elephant is. So if at all, I being a teacher or a trainer tries to put up a question.
So yes, can you please?
Sir, can you please maximize the slide because on YouTube live it will not be visible, sir. Full screen. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now it's fine. Right. Is it visible?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Great. So when we study one discipline at a time, we are like a bunch of people in the dark trying to understand what an elephant is. And if as a trainer or as a faculty, I ask, please tell me what it is to each of my students. So now in this case, you being learners, what an LMS is, if I ask, so probably you'll take it as an elephant, as a big, creature. Some of you would be telling it's a sheet of raw hide. Some of you would be telling it's a steel tube. Some of you will be telling it's a tree trunk, and some of you will be telling it's a snake. Or few of you would be saying that it's something like a Google Meet. Some of you would be saying it's like a Zoom, or some of you would be saying that it's almost like a mailing service or a telegram. Or few of you who are a little smart than others, you'll just tell that it's an online management system of the content. So that's what you'll be telling about. So we'll discuss what all aspects make an e-learning process easy, what all aspects make the entire hybrid learning environment also convenient for us to use. So this is going to be the agenda for the day. that is the learning management systems. What exactly are they? What are the open educational resources available for us? We'll definitely talk about SSU LMS, and we'll access an LMS the way we have accessed it yesterday. And we'll also understand what are the essentials for an LMS, and we'll design a MOOC on LMS. That's the whole purpose of this entire exercise, to put the LMS in place. So yesterday you were able to create an account, few of you were able to publish certain courses, but do we really think that that's how the courses should be designed? So we'll look at the right way. So we were taught guitar almost 10 years back by one of our teachers, and before that, we were playing guitar by ourselves. And whatever we learned it from friends, family, here and there, looking at things. And that sounded well. The guitar which we were playing sounded well, went on good with couple of songs also, and we were liked in the community altogether, that wow, wonderfully you play. But then when we went to the faculty, and we started showing what we know, like our skill set, he said that what you have learned is wonderful, but you need to unlearn most of the things to follow the right pattern, and if you want to really progress. Because the way we were using our fingers to put on different strings, they were not correct. We were trying to make the sound proper, but not in a proper way, right? So to design a MOOC on an LMS, we need to follow certain steps, and we'll discuss those steps also, so that we can make use of the LMS learning management system. So the history, when it started, why this idea came. So yesterday, Ajay Kumar Singh sir was saying that, few of the things, they were there, 10 years back, this kind of sessions were not happening. Was the technology not available, or were the people not available? Everything was there, but, it was not happening. But then, there is a genesis to everything. And almost, 20, 21 years back in the early 90s, a couple of, faculty members were struggling to retain students who didn't have funds because of family obligations, and they could not relocate to attend the seminaries, at the campus. But Tom Walker, he was the one who knew that there has to be some kind of tool that would enable people to communicate with each other, and without being in the same place at the same time. So uh, you know the angles, different angles, different viewpoints, starting from the communication, enabling the communication with different people, same time not being at the same place. These are a couple of things which made this kind of learning management system a solution to people who are struggling, like the way we are struggling more or less, in a way, not students, all the students not occupying the colleges campuses, and not all the faculty members able to take up lectures. We are short on faculty members also the way we have started to learn things, the self-paced learning, the mobile learning, as well as, there is no limitation from where we can learn, how we can learn. So there has to be a liberty in terms of the learning. So more from a student point of view we should be thinking, than from a faculty or an institutional point of view. So this is the place where the learning management system, comes, also known as course management system, because few of the faculty members, they don't want to participate together in a community. They want to just keep their own niche with their own students, with their own set of learners. So these are the two terms which can be used interchangeably. But now with the new education policy in place, we need to understand that community-based learning is going to gain volume, and learning management systems would more or less would be in vogue than course management systems. So the definition first: LMS is a broad term used to describe software tools designed to manage user learning interventions and provide access to online learning services for student, teacher, as well as administrators. Right? It's a software that allows the development and delivery of educational courses using the internet as a delivery system. Now, this is where, the LMS fails, actually, I'll tell you. The internet, the moment internet fails, everything fails. But then we are, I'm an electrical electronics engineer, and I've understood, electrical waves can be transmitted through different mediums. One of them is a radio wave kind of a thing. And the radio waves actually have been used, from ages for radio communication. And learning management systems can be developed for short range usage, also using radio waves. not just internet as a delivery system, radio waves as a delivery system also is possible, right? So we'll discuss the future possibilities, how we're going to evolve. Again, we go back to history, learn from history, and come back and use the history for the betterment of humanity, that we will discuss. Now, one course, many learners. This is how the structure of the LMS looks like. So basically, there is a faculty, or there's an institution, or there is a community of teachers who actually put up all their smart courses, their skills, and their information onto a database. And this database is further provided with access to a lot of people, a lot of learners. And once they learn, once they move forward, they are able to gain certain things and do something in their life. It can be any kind of course. Like yesterday, we were saying wonderful courses based on nutrition, wonderful courses on literature. So what a human can do is limitless. Is sky's the limit kind of a thing. Now, learning management system, it's a learner self-service. Learner is doing their own service. It's not the faculty who's going to chase the student, that this is what you're supposed to do, or this is what you're supposed to learn. But it is the learner who's going to service themselves. It's a self-registration on instructor-led training. Yes, we are going to facilitate. We as instructors, we are going to lead it, but we are not going to force it. It also helps in a training workflow. Dr. Priyanka, my volume voice, there is an issue.
No, sir, it's all good. You can.
Okay. Just because your, this
No, sir, it's all
video
good.
came out, so I thought maybe there's some cue.
No, sir, it's all good.
So it acts as a training workflow in terms of user notification. Like yesterday, you were not getting any kind of notifications. Now you would be getting notifications the moment your course gets somebody as a learner. You will get a notification. You will also, the way I was approving your courses, I said that you need to register and I'll wait for it. So it's a manager approval kind of a thing, as well as waitlist management. So if you have many learners or many trainers with you, you can actually keep them on a waitlist kind of a thing. So that is also possible through an LMS. Now, provision of online learning, it's a computer-based training, and it's basically something which requires a device in place. If you don't have a device, it's very difficult for you. But then again, these are some of the drawbacks. I'm telling you honestly, these are the drawbacks, that a computer is not a mandatory kind of a thing for anybody. In the coming future, we'll have small devices, not a computer, but a transistor kind of a devices which would deliver online learning to students. Now, online assessment, management of continuous professional education, we also call it as continuous comprehensive evaluation, CCE we call it in the new education policy. That is also possible. So there is one term which I would like you people to note now, and we'll discuss it again, that is drip feed content. This is something which will come across in the future many times, because that is a functionality of an LMS which enables you to regulate or moderate your courses, right? Then there is collaborative learning, application sharing and discussion threads. So yes, it's not just you who's going to teach. It's not just some other faculty who's going to teach. It is the learners who are going to teach among themselves, because in a classroom environment, if you see, most of you must have come out from the classroom physical environment as a teacher, as a student, that there is not just a faculty student interaction or faculty student learning. There is a peer-to-peer interaction, which is also as peer-to-peer learning. This is where the entire ecosystem of the education flourishes. Everyone comes up with an idea and they share it and they discuss it, right? In the online system, this becomes a little kind of a drawback, but an LMS enables you to inculcate the habit or the practice of sharing things, discussing things. And this is how you co-create. So you collaborate as well as you co-create. And it's again a training resource management also, in terms of instructors, facilities and equipment. That is one part of LMS. Now, LMS also identifies people who need a particular course. So yesterday, while you were walking through, if not, we'll again walk through SSU LMS, you'll see there was an option of putting prerequisites. Please note this term also, prerequisites. Now, prerequisites, why is it required? Because again, under the new education policy, there is a method called multiple entry and multiple exit. A student can join for the first year, leave out at the end of the first year, get a certificate, again come back for the second year, finish it off and take a diploma kind of a thing, again exit the course, again come back, take up the degree program, and finally finish it off and take up the certificate. Now whenever they're entering and exiting, there has to be a method to keep a track of what they have gained, what they have learned, right? So this entire learning management system helps you in keeping a track of that aspect, that somebody who has enrolled into multiple courses, if at all finishes off of credits which are sufficient to qualify for the next leg of their academic program, they can do that kind of a thing. And if they do, then they can take the courses. So let's say I'm talking about a course A in the first year of my first semester, and I finish it, that makes me eligible for a course Z in the next semester, in the second year first semester kind of a thing, or third semester. So until unless I finish A, I won't be able to get to Z. Now in a continuous program, we know that they are continually working and they are in a pass and promoted to the next levels. But when there is a multiple entry, multiple exit, how is it going to work out for us? So this is what the prerequisites help us in understanding and making clear that yes, this student has already qualified certain prerequisites and now they are eligible to pursue the fewer the higher courses or the next set of courses. Once the learner completes the course, the LMS can administer tests based on proficiency requirements, report the test result, and recommend next steps. So you let them qualify the credits, qualify the paper, gain the credits, and then it can be used for the next semester or the next course itself. Now, these are instrumental in assuring that organizations meet the rigid certification requirements, can simplify global certification efforts, enable entities to align learning initiatives with strategic goals, and provide a viable means of enterprise level skill management. So when we talk about these in the Indian context, we talk basically about the learning based course outcome framework, or the course outcomes which are standardized. There is this framework called the Principles of Responsible Management in Education, which is under the Sustainable Development Goals, that guides us to create uniform courses. The learning outcomes across universities, across institutions, they should be same. If they are same, then students can actually go from one university to another university. They can hop from a university to another university, and then geographies are not going to stop them. It's actually cross boundaries. They can jump. They can take courses from multiple places. They can enrich their thought process. So the multidisciplinary learning is possible through learning management systems. It helps educators create effective online learning communities and create online courses with opportunities for rich interaction, as we have discussed. Also, the modular in construction and can readily be extended by creating plugins for specific new functionality. So we'll talk about two of the plugins on SSU LMS also, and one more plugin, maybe by next week we'll be able to integrate it on our LMS, which is known as Whereby. And it's basically, the usage is very simple. It's a per minute per participant kind of a usage. Like now we are using Zoom. It's actually expensive, and Zoom is basically for managerial level discussions. It's not for the teaching and learning environment. So if you talk about the real teaching learning environment, an LMS with Zoom kind of a thing will be helpful. Again, Zoom does not give all those features because Zoom is again just an interactive platform. It's not a course management or a learning management system. You cannot take tests on Zoom. You cannot create quizzes, or you cannot create drip feed content kind of a thing, which we'll discuss further on Zoom, right? So or on Google Meet also. But then on LMS, you can create that kind of a thing integrated with the FaceTime interaction kind of a thing, which is Whereby. We can discuss later if at all it's required. But as of now, it's not required, right? Now, it promotes collaboration, critical reflection, and is suitable for 100% online classes as well as supplement to face-to-face learning. That is what it says, the learning management definitions. Most of the guidebooks, they do that kind of a thing. Companies, they promise that thing. But there is no substitute to face-to-face learning, that we need to keep. So we need to have the blended formula. So where you have given the courses, the syllabus to your students to learn, you should also get back to them in a live mode, like we are getting in a live mode. You should be getting, that's probably 10 to 15% of the entire journey of the student with you for a single course. Now it's simple, efficient, compatible, low tech. Browser interface is very, very easy and is easy to install. You went through SSU LMS. It took no time for you to actually, 65 of you actually were able to create courses yesterday, which we saw. These are some of the LMS platforms which are available in the market. There are open sources. A lot of them you must be knowing. Moodle is one such thing which is known by most of the people. And in the commercial, where they give you a white label kind of a thing. So Angel Learning, Apex Learning, Blackboard. These are a couple of them which are there. Now, what LMS we are using or you have gotten used to in the last 24 hours is known as Tutor LMS. It's Tutor LMS. This is developed by Themium, and they have made the entire workflow of the platform very, very simple, very easy. And there are more than 30 plus additional functionalities which can be utilized, starting from attendance management system to certain payment gateways kind of a thing. So currently we have not exposed you to the payment systems or attendance management systems, but we'll discuss those things very briefly today. Yes, Ashneet, you have certain thing to ask?
Sorry, sir. Actually, the audio got disconnected for me. That's why. Anyway, it's fine now.
Okay. Right, so these are the examples again of LMS Web CT, a proprietary company providing hosting on software for some universities. That's what it is doing. We have Blackboard, Moodle, these are the things. And there is Learning Cube also, which is available in the market. You can try it out, always. Now, what is the role of LMS? What exactly is the role of LMS? So there's a teacher, there is an institution, there's a student. What is the use of an LMS is something which many people, ask, okay, there's a pandemic, that's why we are using it. Okay, there is a parallel to a physical kind of education system, but that's not, that's not the reason. There are certain things which LMS, gives you in terms of bundling your entire course at one place. It helps you to keep a track of your students. It also helps you in remotely providing the access to students for your courses. So the first thing is registration and charging. The second one is managing the processes, then testing in terms of assessments and all. Mentoring and monitoring also they do. Users function, a lot of functions are there, and administrators functions, whichever is the administrator function, keeping a track of students and all those things. It helps in doing all those things apart from learning, enhancing and enabling learning. Apart from doing that, now what are the advantages of LMS's ability of an LMS is to allow you to fully manage and track your own learning. Basically your students learning, provide support for distance learning, and purposefully designed for a mature and a safe and a secure, ease of use and centrally supported system. So this is what are the advantages. Couple of disadvantages: cost, expensive to create, so that you can actually cross, because we at the SSU CC University can help you out in designing, framing up, and helping you to create your own LMS at almost no cost. Now, the time required to install necessary hardware, software, course, and database, it requires time. Yes, that requires time. But then in terms of course and the database, we again would be able to help you. Software will be able to help you. Not designed to be standalone. We will help you in making it integrated with your websites, with your entire learning systems. And need for an LMS administrator, that also will be extending. So if you have the hardware at your end, we are there to provide you with all the disadvantages. We'll cover it up for you, and that'll become an advantage for you. So SSU LMS, a course management system designed to help lecturers to create an online learning environment. You experienced it yesterday. This system provides functions such as a register course online, course cataloging, bulletin system, information searching, online quizzes, all those things, they help us in doing that. Now let's look at the journey of MOOCs in India, massive open online content, because LMS is not new in India. LMS has been there. LMS is being utilized by 11 national coordinators across the country, starting from UGC to AICTE to CEC to IIM Bangalore to IGNOU to IIT Kharagpur. All of them, they are using it. So this is how basically it started. We were writing something known as e-texts initially. This is one sample of how many people got involved into this. And if you see, all of them are teachers, all of them are faculty members, starting with the principal investigator, Professor K.V. Bhanamurthy, to co-principal investigators, Dr. Jaswinder Singh and Dr. R.P. Singh, to the technical coordinators, Dr. Vimal Rar, the paper coordinator, Professor Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh, and the content writer, again, Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh, sir, and Miss Pooja Tingra. So they are co-creators and reviewer. Somebody has to review your content, and that was reviewed by Dr. Namita Rajput. So if you see, the entire academic world was involved, and this is a template I'm showing you from 2012, early 2012, and this got improved. This got uh, changed over in a very progressive way, and what we today now call as Swayam. So this is what the beginning of the things were like. The EPG Pathshala, postgraduate Pathshala. The story started in the University of Delhi 2010-11 and materialized 2012 onwards, and then 13 you will see these things in the public domain. Now this was from EPG Pathshala. Now, open educational resources. So that was one open educational resource which was available to you. Now, why we are discussing open educational resources is that LMS is going to accumulate all the open educational resources. So if there is an open educational resource where you have certain kind of text available, certain videos available, certain question banks available, you can actually bundle them all together and put them into your LMS. Reason, these all are supporting, these materials are supporting legal, and they're free. Basically, they're free from any kind of copyright. They're free from any kind of usage. They're free from adaptation. They're free from any kind of sharing. There is no burden for a faculty to get any of these resources and implement them for their teaching learning process. Right. So an open educational resources is basically a data bank or a repository from where you can dig out books, PDF materials, research papers, text in terms of lessons, in terms of videos, you get all those kind of things, right? So what are these, what are these? So there are many of them. So we are not necessarily for successful blended learning, but offer opportunity to provide. Why? Because they are not ultimate. They are only resources. Now, how to mix and match the resources, it is the quality of the teacher or the faculty to how to blend it in with the academic course, with the course outcomes. But they provide, they are accessible and they're affordable. The quality guide to blended learning, they're only a guide, they are not the final thing, and they're cost effective in terms of the delivery of the education. One of them is EPG Pathshala, that is an OER. Right. The second one is nmict.ac.in. Here also you'll get a lot of resources. There is nptel.ac.in. Here also you get a lot of resources that you can use. There is Creative Commons. It's a US based organization. It's been running for the past 21 years. And it's a wonderful thing. You can actually get a lot of things. You can create your own content on this kind of a platform, get it onto your LMS, and make your students interested in your learning process, right? Now, another open educational resource, what we are calling is www.ssulms.in, and this is the point where in which I would stop sharing, and I would want the people to take up the questions in terms of whether they're able to log into the LMS or not, whether they've been able to create it or not, because now I believe a lot of people, they're not facing any challenge, I believe so. Yeah.
Sir, there are a few participants citing problem that they have not received a confirmation mail, and a few of them are saying that even after refreshing, they could not access. They could not access the main admin portal, the admin access.
Okay. If I stop sharing, I go to my dashboard. Check it. Now from my end, everyone is actually approved, they can actually refresh it if they have not. Or they can just log in under the instructor dashboard with their ID and password which they created yesterday. They can access it actually. Yes.
So, if possible, can you just share your screen and show how they should go about it? Probably there is some problem there that they're not being able to follow, if that is possible, sir.
Great. I'll do that. So hopefully my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So I have to just approve one Mr. Rudra Mishra, one Dr. Amrita Majumdar, and one Mr. Vinay Raut. Rest everyone has been approved. Right. They just have to refresh again. That's what the condition is. Because once when they registered, we were not sending emails. Now the email has been automated. Just get me how many yeses are there, how many are able to access, because the thing is, if one learner is able to access, others should be able to access. There is no discrimination by the system.
Sir, I can see your screen here. Your screen is visible to me, but on the YouTube live,
it's not there.
It is not visible at the moment. I mean, I cannot see it.
Probably there's a delay over there, 10 to 15 seconds, probably more kind of a thing. A delay is there. Yesterday I was checking.
Yes, sir.
Now
yes,
is it
sir.
available?
Yes, it is there.
Great. So everyone is approved, actually.
So I have tried to register as an instructor just now.
Just now?
Yeah.
So if it's just now, give me a second.
So it will help the viewers understand. Yeah.
Yes. So Ashneet has just appeared and it's been approved. Now it is saying approved. Ashneet, now can you refresh your
I'm just checking
page, and on the top right it should appear howdy Ashneet.
Yeah. Yes, I have that with me. I'm able to see.
Great. So probably you can now share your screen, right? And while you're doing the things, I'll walk others through the process.
Can you please, can host please enable my sharing of the screen?
It's Dr. Priyanka.
Anjali ma'am, can you please make Ashneet? Actually, I'm a co-host, sir, so only ma'am can do that. I'll just call ma'am and ask Ashneet. Give me 2 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, call Anjali and ask her to make.
Hanji, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So Dr. Priyanka, you're a co-host, right? So you can also share your screen.
Yes, sir, I can, but okay, so I'll just quickly register myself. And
yes, that'll be great.
Actually, I was not able to listen what was happening. Na?
Okay, ma'am.
Just taking her the course.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
I think now I can share my screen.
Yeah.
So, Professor Jacob, should I share my screen?
Yes, yes, please go on.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, now we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Right, so this is what should appear, for each one of you. So if you can go to the top right itself, Ashneet, under your name.
Yeah. Just I'll switch this. Yeah.
Right. Now there's an option of edit profile or going to Ashneet Kaur. Either of the two would take you to this kind of a page.
Okay.
Right. Dr. Priyanka, please coordinate with us for the YouTube viewers whether they're able to follow it up or not.
Yes, sir. A lot of them are saying that they're able to access, but some saying that then they're not being able to log in. So, Ashneet, if you could just show them
So
how
for that,
to.
probably we should start with you. So Ashneet, stop sharing,
Yeah.
and Dr. Priyanka can log in. Like type in the URL ssu.lms.in. First, you share your screen.
Yes, sir. I'll do that. I'll just. Is this new tab visible, sir?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, yes.
.l.
No. SSU LMS. It's one single. There are double L's. LMS.
LMS.
.in. Yeah.
So here I go.
Yes. Go to instructor registration.
I click here on instructor registration.
Yes.
I put in my details. Okay, so this is username automatically. So I'll just put a simple.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So your application, okay. You just say next. Yes. You don't have to do that. You can press it up. Okay. You can say never also. Because it's asking for the Google entire thing. We don't know.
Yeah.
I think once, Professor, you will approve it, it will
Yes.
automatically jump
Yes.
to dashboard.
Yes. So,
So
just
now
keep
should
your
I?
screen on. Keep your screen
Yes, sir.
on. I've just received your instructor. Yes. Please refresh this. Go to dashboard or refresh this. Right. So on the top right, you can see your name.
Yes.
Howdy Priyanka.
Yes, sir.
Right. Click on that. Right. So you are now at your dashboard. Right. Now I request everyone to go to Tutor LMS on the left side. Right. Just be there for a second, Priyanka.
Okay.
So this actually is the point where in which you decide whether you want to build a new course. If you have existing courses, we'll discuss further. Or you want to make an announcement, or you want to go for a question and answer kind of a thing. You want to set up quizzes and how they should be taken. So remember, we discussed something known as drip feed content at the very beginning. This is the point where in which the entire drip feed content comes into play, where you give your learners a chance before you ask them to watch videos to take up the quiz. So let's say with no knowledge, your students take up a quiz, and in that you have kept a pass percentage of 50%. And those who have actually scored 50%, they can choose to skip the next videos. And if they have not, they have to go through the videos, they have to watch it, and by the end of this all those videos, the quiz appears again, and then they have to take up the quiz again. They have to clear. Now since they have watched the video recently, you put up a 80% as a qualifying mark, and they qualify 80% and they move forward. Now, this is what the drip feed content helps you in, one aspect of it. Putting quizzes before, between, after your lectures. Just keep it over there. Just keep it over there. Yeah. Right. So this is what your drip feed content helps in doing. Now the second one is, you can integrate here itself Zoom. You can integrate your Google Classroom. So whatever classes you have taken or materials you have shared, if you want to put it here, you can bring them to this particular domain. It's almost like a bigger ecosystem in which smaller things, smaller capsules can be put in. One of those capsules is Google Classroom. Right? You can also set up assignments. Now, please go to courses. Please click courses. And I request everyone on YouTube part also to click on courses. Now wait for some time, because I think 30 seconds, they'll also need to come from clicking from one window to another window. Right. So here you see in the all section 68, because yesterday almost 67 people have created some sort of courses the way they have understood. And it was wonderful to see a lot of people creating so many courses, an interest of creating courses. Right. Now published, people have published also. So you have not even kept it for auditing, you have not kept it for reviewing. Right. Always fresh set of eyes are recommended for any kind of creation. So if I create something, I would always give it to somebody with fresh set of eyes who can just review it, give a feedback kind of a thing. So, but then people are published.
So there is one query from Miss Prerna Singh. She says, so we have created course content yesterday, but how to go to our profile? I'm not being able to see login options.
How to go to a profile? Like this is, today we just saw how to log into your profile, right?
Because she asked me to please coordinate. I hope she has got it. If not, ma'am, please message again so that I can repeat maybe. I hope, Prerna ma'am, your query has been taken care of.
Right. Now, if you want to edit your profile, on this left side itself, there is an option of profile.
Okay, sir.
Just go down, further down.
Here.
Yeah, profile. Go down, scroll down. Right. So here, these are your usernames, your email. If at all there's a website, if you have, you can use that. Biographical info, if you want to put a small bio about yourself. Right. The profile picture for Dr. Priyanka is already appearing because she has taken it from, it has taken it from Google.
Yes.
But if you scroll down, further, right? So you can actually change your passwords also, right? Right. And again, further go down a little bit. So you can change your, job titles, profile, bio also. Right? So those kind of things. It's almost like a little Facebook kind of a feature, but then we cannot make it so fancy, honestly, because it's for academic purposes. Right. If you make it too fancy, just like Facebook or LinkedIn, it will be a marketing tool rather than a learning kind of platform. Right. That's a little negative feedback probably, but then take it in a positive way that this is helpful. Actually, keeping it simple, keeping it sober will actually help you. Right. Now you can scroll up. You can again go to Tutor LMS. This is already there. Yeah. Go to courses. Add a new course. This is what it talks about. So let's type in the add new course, LMS itself, learning management systems. LMS, right? Go down. In that, you can search for the basic definition of LMS from Google in another tab. In this Google, what's an LMS? So yeah, you can copy the paragraph. Okay, you can put it over there. Now again, Wikipedia is an open source. That's why we are taking it from Wikipedia. So don't think we are teaching you how to infringe copyrights or intellectual property rights. Right? Now just press enter and say source Wikipedia. So basically the citations would help people in the research. They know very well. Great. So that's wonderful. Now scroll down. You can give the source. Great. You can hyperlink it up. So just select it. Right? And on the top next to the justify, not here. Yeah, that's the option. Yes. Press enter. Great. Yes. So it's been actually pretty much pointed out. The point usage of pointers, basically referencing has been done in a proper way. Scroll down. Scroll down. Great. So in the excerpt, if you want to write, you can write something about the summary. Basically, what is LMS? This is a course. Okay.
I think that works, sir.
Great, great, great. Yes. So author is you only. If you want to change the author, hit the drop down. Right. So basically, I can only be the other author. Nobody can actually encroach onto your courses if they want to do. Right. I only can allow that kind of a thing to happen. Right. So that is the use of an administrator. The administrator protects you. So don't make me. Keep yourself only. Yes. Go further down. Right. Now there is this option under core settings which talks about general. The general is like in any way people can actually come attend the lectures, watch lessons. The first lecture, 10th lecture, 20th lecture, nth lecture. They can view in whatever they want to do. Now just click content drip. Now once you content drip, this enable. You do that, please enable. Click onto the enable on the top itself. On the top itself. Enable. Right. Now, from this, you are having a choice of scheduled course content by date. So if you want to release a lecture or a video or a document or an assignment only on, let's say, 17th of July 2021, right, you can do that. Right? So this will help you in doing that kind of a thing. A content available only after X days from enrollment. So you say, for 30 days, you say that this course is going to be made available to you. Something what we do at University of Delhi generally. The session starts sometime in July 23rd, and the first year people or the third semester people, they come up, and we are giving them something known as choice-based credit system courses, in which they go for interdisciplinary courses. They go for some kind of a GE, generic elective paper, and there is an optional form which is floated that they have to apply for such a course which they want to take from another department. And it takes almost 2 weeks initially to set up the first section. After that, 1 more week to form a new section because the course is in demand. And after one more, up to 31st August, because the admissions are happening, so we keep on taking up students, new students come, so they keep on accumulating. Now the student who's come on 23rd of July and the student who's come on 23rd of August faces trouble in accessing the course because already 4 weeks have passed and some course has been covered. Right? I'm telling you a very real time problem because I've taught in Hindu College 2015, 2016, and that was the first year when CBCS was introduced. And now there's a lot of clarity in terms of the courses, or there's a system which makes it possible to get through the deadlines. But that was the first time when we faced a lot of trouble in enrolling people, new people coming, double lectures, triple lectures. So what we basically can do here is that the content can be made available only after 15 days of enrollment, because a lot of people, they switch back also, right? They change the generic electives. They go from department, they hop from department to department, just saying that we don't like economics, let's go to commerce. We don't like commerce, let's go to Hindi studies. We don't like Hindi, let's go for mathematics, kind of a thing. Those all things they'll be doing. So, and there is a choice. That's what we should be doing. And at the very beginning, we said that now the academic system or the education system is all about learner centric, not faculty centric or institution centric. So this gives the student a chance to audit the course, only after a few days, making them serious about it. Right? So let's say the student enrolls on 23rd of July, they can only audit the course after a week or after 10 days, once you have interactive sessions online itself. Right? So that is possible. Now, course content available sequentially. Now, this is one more option. So until unless people finish lesson 1, topic 1, they cannot go to lesson 2, topic 1. Right? Because a lot of people, we have during the schoolings, a lot of people have this habit of skipping up lectures, that this is going to be useful for the sciences background. I'm very much, aware of the things, will be useful for IIT. This will be useful. That time there was AIEEE. This will be useful for some state level entrance examination. This is useful for CBSE. So people skip on lectures. There's a good hopping that is happening between lectures also. But when we come to university based education, skipping doesn't help, right? Until unless we know what is A, we should not go to B, thinking that we are super intelligent and will understand C without knowing A and B. That is one way of understanding, but there are other ways. But here, in a formalized way, if you want to make it sequentially, that in the first month, in the first week, they should cover these topics only. So you're sticking to the syllabus, right? Although, again, there is a lot of flexibility. If you untick it, the flexibility is there. That people can jump from unit 1 to unit 5, unit 5 to unit 2. That is all possible. Right? So that is the functionality of it. Now, course content unlocked after finishing prerequisites. So this is what, prerequisites we were talking about for the multiple entry, multiple exits. So if at all we are saying that there is, let's say, a paper in BSc chemistry, second year, let's say it goes by the name organic chemistry. And that is a second year paper. In order to do that, you should know physical chemistry, you should know applied chemistry a little bit, you should also know inorganic chemistry. These all things in the first and the second semester of first year. If you say that these all you know, then only you are eligible to study the current paper on organic chemistry. So this is that option which gives you an option of putting up all those courses, that these are the prerequisites. So you can at your own pace, at your own time, use it for yourself, how you want to design the course. This is one way of telling you that a drip feed content is making possible the choice based credit system courses, as well as the multiple entry multiple exit system in the new education policy, because these are the two things which would stay intact, right? So Dr. Priyanka, if you can move little.
Sir, sorry for interrupting, but
There's a
a
question?
few people, yes, sir.
Okay.
A few participants are saying that, like, I have logged in for the first time, but yesterday when they were able to log in, now they want to know how, after they had logged out, how to log in again. So
just
they
type in ssulms.in and they would be there, because their passwords would be pretty much there. If they're not able to do that, they can go to course dashboard, they can click up a course, and then it will be asking for the registration page.
Should I, sir, once log out?
Yeah, you can
do it.
Yes, pretty much.
So I log out here.
Okay.
And it says leave, so I say leave. No, I will say okay.
Yeah.
So here
you're out. Now go to dashboard.
Dashboard.
Just click any course.
Okay, any of these.
Yeah, any course. Right. So it's asking for your ID password.
Okay.
I believe you remembered the password.
Yes, sir. And
you can do remember me, huh?
Yes.
Right. Now again you can go on top.
Here.
Yes. Go to the same. Yes. You're back.
Yes.
Go to tutor LMS, add course. There's a draft already. You can click the LMS itself. LMS draft. So there is LMS. Right. So we are back. I think let's take a 2-minute pause kind of a thing for people to sink in and come to this point.
Yes, sir. I'll just read through the messages meanwhile
Yes,
and
yes,
see
yes.
if there is any other query that they have.
Great, great. Now, for everybody, if you want to get this kind of an LMS prepared for your institution, we can support you in and out. That is one part. If you don't want to take our support and just want on an individual basis to learn, how to develop and build these things, we can do that also. Because a lot of academic people, they are involved in building this, so they can do that. Dr. Anjali ma'am, are you saying something?
Yes, sir, I'm there listening to it. Is there any problem, Priyanka?
No, not exactly. We are just checking up with
No,
the
ma'am.
viewers.
That is
Actually, ma'am, all the participants are trying to use the interface simultaneously. So we're just giving them time to
Yes.
do it if they
And
have.
it's okay. Even we are getting used to having that coordinating two things at a time. So Priyanka, me, and Saloni had been trying, but yes, with the passage of time, we are trying to become pro and faster at it. So you'll have to bear with us.
Totally, ma'am. I'm also in the same ship that you are sailing through.
So it is like more or less the participants will also start getting a piece of what we go through when we are conducting or helping the session. Priyanka, myself, Saloni. So it's okay.
Right.
So a lot of them are saying that yes, now they are being able to log in because probably there was no as such
Login page.
Yes.
Priyanka,
So
if possible, to take some names now, it will make the thing more better that participants, some enlist some of them if you're able to, those who are repeating their request again and again, so that it is easy for them to
yes,
say.
ma'am. Like there was one from Miss Prerna, so I looked after it. Also, I'm actually writing in the chat box with their name that this is how they could do. So,
Great.
sir, a lot of them are now being able to log in,
Okay.
who were not being able to do it earlier.
Great. So let's
Also,
wait.
also, sir, some of the participants are trying to help each other.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's peer-to-peer learning, happening. That's blended learning.
So I have a question here. If
Yeah.
supposedly you build a course with a co-author
Mm-hmm.
and you want to, of course, write that author's name also
Yeah.
right there in the course, then how do we go about it?
So you can just write an application to us or an email to us, that this is what the co-author is, and we'll add it up. Because if we do not if we give the access for co-authors, for you, it will be a very difficult task, because a lot of people, they might just add people whom they don't even know, or probably by mistake that can happen. So just to keep that thing intact, that's still there with the admin. We can decentralize it, as it goes slowly. We can decentralize it. So as of now, the instructor registration approval is also fixed. If we want, anybody can become an instructor with this platform. That option is there. We can decentralize that part. But we have not kept it just to check, how many people actually are coming, just to observe the traffic by ourselves. Although the analytics is working pretty much nice for us, but yeah, we need to keep a track of people. Like from a number of 83 from previous session which we had on blended learning and LMS, now we have close to 350 faculty members, mostly joined from this place itself. Almost 250, close to 250 instructors have joined since yesterday. More are joining actually. I'm not keeping a track of the number now. Just let me take up the number. So 349. That's the number, the fresh number which has come to us. I'm just approving Dr. Naresh Kumar. And Dr. Praveen Sarpate, he has started to create his course also. He's published it probably.
So there's a query from Miss Rama. She says, how is LMS different from Moodle?
Right. So Moodle is an LMS, right? But Moodle is short-lived and it spans over limited learners. So you can have only 30, 60, 90 kind of bunches. And whatever you create, it goes into an archive section. You need to, in order to revive it, you need to keep up the spaces also available for you. Right? So that's a major difference between Moodle, and Moodle requires some understanding about the operational part also, how to put up the videos. Like here, I'll be telling you, how to put up videos very easily, very quickly, how to create your own channels, how to create your own spaces, how to use spaces which are available for free, and you can actually reference them into this platform. Like you don't have to host videos on your server, right? You don't have to keep your live interactive sessions on your server. You can use other servers. Like as of now, we are using Zoom as a platform for capturing, and then we are using YouTube as a platform for broadcasting, right? Similar way, we can use YouTube as a platform for hosting our videos and then sharing it on the tutor LMS, on SSU LMS basically. Right? We can do that. We cannot do that in Moodle. Moodle requires spaces to be taken. So when it comes to cost, the first thing first, cost. The second one is the technical aspect. Right? So far, if you're able to come up to this point, you are pretty much trained to run your own LMS. Actually, I'm very doubtful about Moodle for that part. Right?
So there are two more queries that I would want you to take.
Please.
One is how much load can this LMS take? I mean, with respect to how much
Students.
content can one upload on this particular LMS?
Right.
And there is one from Miss Meenakshi. She says that she is not being able to log in because it is saying that the password is incorrect. And when she's trying to click on forget password, nothing is happening.
Just give me a second. What's her name?
Meenakshi Gokhale.
The spelling would be
Meenakshi.
okay. Meenakshi Gokhale, I can see. Ask her to please check her email. She must have gotten a password reset link. So as of now, we are not automating it, honestly. If you have forgotten, you need to. So in a college, it's unlike Facebook, which you can use for free. Now students have that option. If they forget the password, they can fix it. But if the faculty is losing the password, what if a student is doing on your behalf? Now they know your email ID, and they say forget password. Right? So we have to do this in a force start kind of a thing. We are doing that. Right? So just for the management point of view, I'm just telling you, we can automate it, but we're not doing. The first question: how much space is required to, host the courses, and how much space is available with us? So on this particular place, we have 1 TB, and we have certain additional servers also, but we are hardly using 100 GB of the space. 100 gigabytes we are using. Why? Because most of our videos are hosted elsewhere. We have other platforms where in which we are hosting. Uh, we also have Amazon, AWS 3 servers. The cloud servers are also available on which we are hosting few of the things. But again, there also we are using very limited space because we are using Google, Drive's space for having our documents, any fixed kind of PDF, portable document files, Word files, right? And the only load which comes onto this server directly is the profile pictures of faculty as well as students, the course pictures of the courses, and the assignments. That is the only load, which is hardly anything, right? And we have so far 1 TB of space on this particular thing at a wonderful cost of probably 19 rupees per GB kind of a thing. 19 rupees per GB, like 18, 19 rupees per GB. That is what we are getting as a cost. So if that answers that query, I think.
So there's one more participant named Vijeta Sheth. She is also not being able to log in. So if you could send her a reset.
I can do that.
Vijeta.
Right, we have Vijeta Sheth. Yes.
And so there's one participant, Shivam Varnikar. He says he's still not able to log in.
Okay. Is it possible that you can ask them to share the screenshots of what they say?
Shivam sir, can you please share your screenshot? Or if you want me to just repeat that login process again, please let us know. I could just repeat that in case.
So he's already registered?
Yes, sir. He says I'm not being able to log in.
But then he's registered, right? What is his name? I can check it over here. Just a second.
Sir, Shivam Varnikar. Shivam.
Shivam. Shivam Varnikar. Okay.
Yes.
So he's not able to log in because he's forgotten the password.
So that has not been mentioned.
Or is it because he's logged out?
Shivam sir, if you could please let us know what exactly is the problem, we could help you. Dr. Sunaina Khatri also says she cannot log in.
Have they registered? The first question, have they registered?
I'll just put that, sir. Also, sir, will confirmation mails will be sent to everybody once you approve their request?
From now onwards, people in the morning, yes, they are getting the mails. Since morning, they're getting the mails. Because I'm also getting a copy of that mail.
Okay, so before that, some are saying that they did not get a confirmation mail, but they're being able to log in. Yeah. So that's okay.
Ashni, did you get a mail today when you logged in? Just check your Gmail.
Yes, so I did. I did get.
Dr. Priyanka, you can also check.
Yeah, I'll also check, sir. So I can't see at the moment. Maybe I have too many windows. Yeah, I'll just refresh. So Mr. Parveen Seni says he is not able to log in because he forgot the ID and password.
No worries. Mr. Parveen.
Parveen.
Parveen. Okay. So he's forgotten the ID
and the password.
And he's Dr. Parveen Rajesab or Parveen Seni or Akhtar Parveen. There are three Parveens.
Parveen Seni.
Okay. So he has his username is Praveen Saini 513@gmail.com. Okay. That is his username. And for his password, I am sending him a link on his mail. Now he can reset his password.
Sir, Miss Vijeta says that even after resetting the password, she's not been able to log in. So should she re-register using some other email ID?
If she wants, she can do, but then that should not be the case. What is the email ID that she's using?
Ma'am, if you could tell us the email ID that you're using, Vijeta ma'am. Dr. Pushpa ma'am, even if you have not received any mail, it is not a problem, because only people who have registered from today morning, they are getting confirmation mails. I hope I'm saying it correctly.
Vijeta. Yeah. Miss Vijeta has registered with Vijeta Shit 96@gmail.com. That should be her username. And whatever password she has changed, that should be what it is. And I can see that she has already changed the password.
All the participants who are saying that they have not received any email, I would just like to repeat on sir's behalf that if you have registered yesterday, you are not going to get any confirmation mail. Only people who have started registering from today morning are getting confirmation mails, which are automated mails. But as long as you're able to log in and see your profile and add content, I think there should be no problem. So there's a query from Mr. Ranjit. He's asking, can a faculty from some other institute teach from this particular LMS?
Yes.
And what are the benefits to him as a part of his academic career?
So the benefits is that we can already, we are enabling a lot of faculty members. We're giving a split in terms of the commercials. Right? So if at all people from other universities get enrolled onto your course, we have a split in commercials. And an association with Sri LMS, right? So once you do that, you'll be fit to go to any other platforms also. There are many, starting from Udemy, Udacity, right? Emeritus, right? edX for that matter, if at all. Coursera is another at an institutional level. So you have an exposure already that you have created content in online content and you have run a program. That adds value to you. The sky is the limit then how many courses you create with how many collaborators across universities. So that is limitless.
Sir, there's one more query. Who will own the intellectual property rights on the content that has been created on this platform?
So what do they want? So if you want to, so basically, that these are all commercials that basically can be negotiated at any time. If you want a split of rights, that can be made possible. If you want to keep your content with yourself, you can always keep that. So there are copyright forms which are available with us, in which we generally request people to share their content with us, transfer the copyrights, because we are remunerating them. If the remunerations are limited, the royalty kind of a thing is limited, then we can pretty much give the rights to you. Yes. That can be negotiated. That's a very open kind of a thing, how they want. But that's what I said. What do they want?
Okay. So there is a participant, Mahadev, who says that they're not being able to log in, and there are a few people requesting to repeat the process. So should I just log?
So I'll just tell you, repeating the process would stop us from going forward, and we hardly have now some 30-35 minutes left.
Yes, sir.
This is a YouTube recorded session which would be available to them, as well as the login details to them, right? They can listen to that, right? I'm not stopping from
interrupt, sir.
Yes, ma'am, please.
There that for all those participants, I can simply request that the link of the recorded session is even available on the MOOCs platform. So if they're having any problem regarding the registration, or they want a repetition of the process, they can go through that video one more time, because it is going to interrupt the session and it is taking more time. So
Yes, yes.
want you have planned something to add to their knowledge, that will get restricted. So I'll request, sir, for
Yeah.
all those participants, they can see that video if they want later on. Thank you.
Wonderful, ma'am.
And any problems that they will be getting, again they can message us or email us, and we'll just revert back to you, sir, with them, so that you can answer them. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you.
We can do that. Wonderful. Wonderful. So Dr. Priyanka, again, please take the keyboard and the mouse.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now these are the things which we discussed in terms of the content drip, right? And we again, so now go to content drip again. You'll see that it must be enabled. No, don't enable it as of now. We don't want to enable. We have just discussed that we can do these kind of things. We as of now want to just create a course which is free, flexible. Right? So go to general again. Right. Put the maximum students somewhere around 60, 70. 60. Okay, great. Then keep it any kind of level. All levels is something which is prescribed for a general purpose course. For different kind of courses, a beginner course would be something which is a 2 credit, an intermediate course would be something like a 3 credit, an expert level course would be something like 4 credits basically, right? So as of now, we'll keep all levels open. Great. Just scroll down. Now I'm not telling you what to add a product, select a product, because you're not looking at the commercial part of it. But then there is an option where in which you can sell your courses, like you were asking that how we can benefit out of it. So create a course, monetize it, and you are the one who would be responsible for monetizing. Then we have no interference into intellectual property or anything. You do it by yourself, end to end. It's available at this platform. A course type, you want to make it paid or free. If you keep it paid, then you need to put up the details of your bank and other aspects. We don't recommend now. Keep it free. We will make it paid in case you want to sell it out like anything. Right? Now scroll down further. Now, attachment, private files. So if you want to give initial brochures, generally a course outline, a course detailing, a course schedule, which day, which kind of lecture would be taken up, about the instructor, the bio kind of a thing. All those things can be uploaded as an attachment over here, and it can be taken up as a PDF file generally. It can be an image file within the PDFs. Now select a course. Now this is the place where in which you say, what are the prerequisites of the course. So whichever courses are available on the platform, you can actually choose any one of them. So people who have completed those courses, they only can get enrolled into these courses. That means you're interlinking learning from subject to subject. Let's say in a semester itself, a student has to take up 4 courses. Right? From here, you can put up, 4 courses in terms of prerequisites. You can set it up, right? And those teachers, they'll be issuing a token. Now I'm not showing all those things because you're not required to, but I'm just giving a conceptual framework of that part. So 4 other teachers would be issuing a token that yes, they are registered here. You would get to know automatically, they have given the tokens because they have enrolled themselves on those courses, and they can get enrolled into your. This is for the current semester. For the prerequisite kind of a thing, previous semester courses, you put up, let's say research methodology. If at all this course was on advanced research methodology, you need to finish research methodology. If it is statistics 2, you need to have statistics 1. If it is something like physics itself, the for condensed matter physics, that should be there. Now microeconomics, theories of profit. So you say, you need to finish up a course on duopoly kind of a thing, or multi-product pricing kind of a thing. So those courses, if you complete, then only you're eligible. So you're bundling your learners courses, so that they are eligible for future movements or future growth kind of a thing. Right? Because you'll see that a lot of students, let's say somebody from the Sanskrit department, too good in the shlokas, too good in the literature of Sanskrit, comes to mathematics department, to take up a course on, let's say, calculus. Right? Now the chap would be brainy, right, and they would be having too much of informational absorption skills also, but then without a foundational understanding of mathematics, they cannot do that kind of a course. So you put up something like, foundations of mathematics, basic calculus, basic integration. You put up that kind of a thing, right? Now let's go to the next level, that is the course builder. Now this is course builder, where in which you can add topics. Now add topic is basically a unit, in your syllabuses, which are mentioned over there when you are designing or referring the courses also. You have generally 5 units, 6 units, 8 units, 7 units. Generally now things have come to 5 units, right? 5 units, 60 hours of teaching, and that is 4 hours of credit kind of a thing. And this is what we say in general, right? So let's say 5 topics itself. So now add a topic and let's name it as unit 1 itself. Generally it is an introductory unit, so let's give introduction in the topic. Topic summary. We'll just add the topic. Right. We'll go further up. Yeah. Up, not down. Up. Yeah. We again want to have add topic, one more topic. Let's call it unit number 2. We can call it as foundation. Then we unit 2 lies the foundation. Unit, again we'll add one more. Unit 3 we can call it as advanced. Right. Can add it up. Right. Again we'll add one more topic. Let's put it as application, unit 4, applications. Right. And unit 5, generally there should be unit 5, which is having some sort of case studies, external environment, field visit, case study and field visit. Great. Yeah, project is wonderful. Right. Now you see what we have created is just the outer structure of your course. Right. Now I want to make unit 1 mandatory for the learner to go through, but I don't want them to go through unit 2. I just first want to take them through unit 5 because I want to give them more of a practical exposure. So please, bring your cursor to the place where it is having 4 arrows. Yes. Click, hold, drag up. नीचे करिए. Right, great that you have done that. थोड़ा सा ठीक है, unit 1 के नीचे. Great. Right. So what we have just done is basically use of sticky labels. Your units can be shuffled. If at all in 1 year you taught with the same syllabi, saying that this should be the flow of the syllabi. Later on you say that no, I want to experiment a little bit. I want to expose the students to some sort of case studies and projects. So I'll be taking unit number 5 after unit number 1. Your experiment fails. You say now this semester these people they have not understood much because I probably have rushed through the entire syllabi by exposing them to bigger case studies and they were not able to absorb it. What shall I be doing? So now again you can click and drag it after introduction, after they're getting the foundation, just below unit 2. Great. So you create the course once, but you operate the course many times, right? Now go to next unit 1. There is unit 1, next to unit 1 there is edit, right? So with this you can click edit. You can change, yes, the topic summary also. Right? If you want to change the years or some I want to add some kind of nouns in that, you can do that. You want to name unit 1 itself as chapter 1, you can do that. Right, you can do that. Update the topic. It's updated. Right? Now you want to delete it, you can delete it. Don't do that now. Right? Next to it, there is a drop down. Right? Now in this drop down, you'll see that there are three options which are available to us. One is the lesson, another one is quiz, and there's another thing known as assignments. Right? Now lessons are basically small topics. You already know those kind of topics. So you can go to lesson one. Lesson, just click nice lesson. And under the draft lesson, you can put it lesson one. Add media, media library. See, you're currently using 207 MB out of 200 GB. This is what we are using currently. All of you have done some or the other kind of activity. So now once we are up through 200 GB, we'll add 200 GB more. Likewise, we can do 5 times. Right. Once that is done, we'll be attaching this with another entire big server. So again, 200, 200, 200 spaces would be available to us. Right. Go to media library. There must be something available over there. Nothing from your media library. Select an item. You can choose any kind of picture which you have probably. Try to put an academic one. Yeah, you can put that. Great. Just at the bottom, there is an insert blue button on your right. Right, it has come. Right. Now use this sidebar to scroll down. Not this one, next to it, the bigger sidebar. Yes. Now here you can actually, now start enter. Next to the picture, already your cursor is there. Just click inside the box. Click inside the box. Yes. Press enter. You should Control Z. Wait. Enter. So you can now write in this lesson. We'll be discussing the basics of LMS. Right. Enter. Again, enter. You would be able to. Colon. Enter. Great. Bullets are there. Numberings are there. Right. Learn about LMS. Second, describe an LMS. And use an LMS. So there is a saying which says, I listen, I forget. Right? I see, I remember, and I do, I learn. So basically, you can write that, enter, remove those numberings. No, not from here, not from here, not from here, not from here. Just go to point number 4. Go to point number 4. Right. So you can say, I see, I listen, I forget. I listen, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I learn. Great. We'll stop and let's come a little down now from the for the bigger scroll bar. Come out of the box. There's an option of feature image. If you want to say that this lecture is going to be useful and you want to show some kind of a picture, you can upload a feature image. Click that. You can choose this picture itself because this is what the content is about. If at all there are certain diagrams, science people, they have block diagrams, flow charts. Accounting people, they have tables. If they want to give that kind of a depiction of, just factory cost, prime cost kind of a thing, they can do that. Chemistry people, they want to talk about certain kind of formulations, they can talk about that. We have people from architectural departments, if they want to give a glimpse of what the monument or the building or that particular thing should look like, they can give a picture about that. So always, beautifying the things makes the learner little intriguing, interesting. It's almost like the curiosity, of a crow. Kakacheshta, Bapodhyanam, Shwana Nidra, Alpahari, and Grihatyagi, Tataivacha, Vidyarthi Lakshanam. But then the modern day Vidyarthi is very smart. Right? So for them, most of the things are based upon the visual appeal. So if you create a better visual appeal, if you create better videos, better these kind of creatives, it'll help you a lot. Right? Use this media. There's an option, Dr. Priyanka, at the bottom. Right? So this would be the featured image as a thumbnail. It will be appearing to them. Now let's go to the video source. Now this is one place where in which you can actually see. Can you click it? And there's a drop down. Yeah. So you can have an HTML file and a 5 MP4 kind of a thing. You can take it from any other place. You have embedded it in your website, some other website. You want to put it here, right? Or you want to give some kind of an external URL. You can do that. Or my suggestion would be to go to YouTube or Vimeo. Right? So we'll go for YouTube currently. YouTube is one of the best places. We don't understand YouTube much because we use YouTube for our own viewing purpose. YouTube is basically a two-way communication. You can host your data also. There's an option which, if at all people want to know, you can get back to me through Dr. Priyanka later and through Dr. Anjali Gupta later. I can explain to you how to make your videos available on YouTube, and you don't put it for commercial utility. You basically use it for your academic purpose, and that entire channel is not visible to anybody except you and for the people who want to use it on an LMS. So how to protect your content on YouTube, and it's true, it's possible, pretty much possible. You can do that kind of a thing. I'm telling you because if you see the entire Swayam platform of Government of India, it is totally hosting their videos on YouTube. Right? That surprises you. That Government of India actually uses it because it is secure, it is safe, it is totally verified kind of accounts. There is no forgery kind of a thing or a fraud kind of a thing that happens onto YouTube. It checks, and the moment there is a problem with the YouTube account, YouTube responds very quickly. Videos are pulled down, people are served with notices. Those kind of things are pretty much there. So when you're even uploading any kind of video content from your site, even YouTube takes up some time to analyze the copyright part of it, that whether your video contains any kind of copyrighted material or are you infringing any kind of IPR. And it checks and it gives you a certificate at that moment that this content is free from any kind of infringement, right? So Dr. Priyanka, you can go on to another tab where in which you can type YouTube, and you can see, just type in for anything. Like let's type in LMS only because it's all about LMS. So let's type in LMS. Right. Great. So this is a good video by iSpring. Okay. You can do that. Click it. Don't play it. Pause it. Right. Now go to that address bar. Control C. And just bring it here. Control V. Great. Update the lesson. Great. Now let's go to Unit 2. Or please ask people if they want to create a quiz on that. That's good. Let's make a little interactive, because at least 15-20 minutes I am being going with a monologue kind of a thing. Yes. So are people able to create the lessons?
Sir, there is a query where they can say, can I create content in any language, or only it is restricted to English only at the moment here on this LMS?
If they're talking about the video content can be in any language, any vernacular. In terms of using the editor box, the word frames, if they have a script in their word, in their system, then that is compatible here also, because that would be taking it as just an image kind of a thing, but they cannot do correction. So they can type it in their own storyboards. So whenever we are, here I'm just telling you, something like you have copied content from Wikipedia, you have copied a video from YouTube, the link kind of a thing. Generally, they should be available on your system. A Word file with your entire script or with your entire instructional design should be available. So that can be copied and that can be pasted. Yes, it's pretty much possible. It's not language sensitive or script sensitive, as we call it. So my question is to everybody: Are people able to create the first lesson? Are they good to this point? Are they able to put some image file? Are they able to put some words? Are they able to upload a video, like copy a link of a video and put it over there? Is it happening for them? So Ashneet is agreeing to that part. Is it happening?
Yes, sir. Apart from a few participants who earlier said that they have problem in login, but probably they could look into the login process later. But others who have been logged in are being able to create content, sir.
They're able to create content, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Great. So now coming to quiz, let's go to quiz then. Quickly create a quiz kind of a thing. Let's go to, no, not that part. Here itself. It's the quiz attempts. So far we have not created. In the creator mode, that is the page. That is the course builder.
So should I click here?
Yeah. Yes. So on next to chapter 1, the drop down button next to the delete one. Quiz. So we have several kinds of quiz. Let's give this quiz info. Let's call it the introductory quiz or introductory trivia, whichever you want to know. If you want to use fancy English, you can use that. Yeah, great. Save and next. Right. So there are let's add a question. The option is that what kind of question you want to do, right? So click to the question type, right? So you can have a true and false kind of a question. You can have a single choice question, multiple choice question, open-ended essay, if at all you want to evaluate them in the traditional format, the fill in the blanks, short answers, if at all you want to have short notes, brief notes, matching. The beautiful part is image matching. So basically, if you look at the traditional question papers, the way we have taken up examinations, we were given some certain kind of images. If at all they were given, they would be in a black and white format, and you'll never be able to understand which image is what, right? And in one of our engineering courses, there was one electric circuits paper in a third semester. One of our faculty was so wonderful. He gave us certain diagrams of the flow of current for the winding up of the coil around a magnet. So, and he wanted us to understand that which winding would lead to which current direction. So that is what it is basically. So there is a flux, there is a Gauss current, Gauss theorem, lot of concepts are in that. So he gave us three of the things, which way it is going to go, and we need to use up a law which is the thumb rule kind of a thing. There's a left hand thumb rule, right hand thumb rule. One is for the magnetic, another for the electric kind of a thing, and which way. So once electricity flows, then the movement of it. If the movement is there, then the electricity out of it. So he gave us three interesting images. None of us was able to actually understand what the image is about. We only understood the question. Right? But here, since we'll be using a digital platform, we can go for image matching. We can give clear pictures without losing any kind of contrast or colors or any kind of fonts. Any of those things, they can happen. Ordering also in terms of ascending, descending, those all things are going to happen. Let's go for the simplest one, that is true and false. Yeah. Now it says whether the answer is required. Yes, answer is required. Now sometimes a lot of people, like I have understood in the last 1 year with University of Delhi system, I was there. People, what they do, they click up an answer and they keep on uploading, right? And they would be saying, let's divide and conquer kind of a thing, which we read during our Nancy Drew novels when we were kids. We were reading. So Nancy Drew had three of the friends. Bess was there, George was there, and Nick was there, and Ace was there. Four of the friends. So she'll always say that I'll go in one direction, the rest of the two in another direction. This is how kids think, and this is true. If you read Alfred Hitchcock's Three Investigators also, in that also, you'll find that all the three investigators, they'll be going into three different directions. So basically divide and conquer. Now, these people, out of the 6 questions, they have taken 4 questions, distributed among a group of 4 people. They write it and then they share it off. Right. Now, in this, there is an option of checking up the plagiarism, which is institution led for the long type answers. But if there is true and false kind of a question, kids are very smart. What they would do, first answer A, second answer B, a third answer A, fourth answer C. So they would be exchanging 1 ka A, 2 ka B, 3 ka D kind of a thing. That is the code which they do. They'll never tell you what is the correct answer, whether 1 ka true hai, false. Even you want to change the question also, you want to make question 1 appear at separate points for different people. That randomization of answer, randomization of questions, both things are possible. This makes little thing which is known as gamification of assessment. Because now people, it's almost like a game, realistic kind of a game, virtual game. What comes next based upon your move. It's not on a fixed kind of a thing that every time if you play the 2D games, the era of Contra or the era of Mario, you always know where that particular mushroom would come, where the tortoise would come, when you will be getting those power of the guns, when you need to jump, which tunnel you can go into the warp zone, how to bypass the zone, how to gain the time. Sub cheat codes are available. Even if people who have played bigger games, something like Age of Empires. Age of Empires was one of the beautiful games, which was there during the time that now the current teachers, most of them, they'll be able to connect, I believe. In that you have a lot of cheat codes. You put in the map would be visible and you can conquer. But now that can be actually put under stop, with this kind of a system in which you randomize. So please randomize that, also click randomize. Now change the question number. The question number should be 1 only. Now you're going to give the points also. So whatever points you want to put up, grading system, 1 point, 3 point, 2 points, for different kind of questions, you can do that. You can display the points also. Scroll down. The description is optional. Right? Select the correct option, that is true. Now, input options basically you need to do. Just a second. Yeah, true. In the description, an LMS is also known as CMS. Right. Scroll down further so that people can take a look. Save the answer. True. Right. Save and continue. So already false is available to you already. In case it is going to be MCQ, you need to enter 4 of the questions. Like we have for Swayam. Swayam does all the questions mostly in the MCQ format. Few of them, they have the project work format also. They have to type in an assessment and assignment and give it to them. Right. You can do next. Right. Now you can set up a time limit also. Let's put up a time limit of 2 minutes. Great. You don't want to hide quiz time display because you probably want to make the student rush through. If you really care for the student, you would be doing it hide quiz time. Right. Just teasing. Great. Now how many attempts you want to give to them for a true or false? Now once they'll say true, another time they'll say false, either true or false. Let's give them one option only, one time, one attempt. Go to the attempts allowed. One. Now since there's going to be one time only, you can reveal that answer. So it is under the reveal mode. Show results after the attempt. Great. Now scroll down further. Now for this one single question, if the kid answers right, they can move on to the next unit, or else they will be stuck here. Put passing rate to be 100%. If you're giving them 5 questions, you can ask for 3 questions, so 60% you can put. The maximum questions allowed to answer, 1 only. There's only 1 question, so 1. Great. Go for save. Great. It's been saved successfully. Scroll up, you can close it down. Close this window. On the top, there is a close. Advanced options we are not discussing. We can just have this much. Now scroll up. Further up to the top, to the very top. There's an option called publish. Before that, just go to categories, course categories on your right, little down. Yeah, so categories. Course categories on, scroll down further. Add a tag, then you can actually use it. Add a tag, just LMS. Add it. Great. So now people can search with that. You can also type in CMS, course management system, if at all only one course is being run by an institute. Right. So scroll up. Great. Now you can publish it. First, let's preview it. Next to save draft, there's a preview option. It's always better to preview a course. Maybe you might have forgotten something like that. Scroll down. Enroll now. So this is how it is going to appear for your students, you know. Scroll down, scroll down. Right. And this is the outline. That there is a chapter 1, under that there's a lesson 1, there's an introductory quiz. Under the unit 2, unit 3, everything is logged. Right. And in fact, unit 1, the assignment is also logged, because they have to go through the first topic of unit 1, then only they can go through that part. Right. Just scroll up and go to enroll course. Right. Enroll now. Start the course. So you can track on the course status, you can actually track. This is not available. Go to home. Right. Let's go to publish. Let's go to publish. Probably it's not save as a draft also. Probably save as a draft, you can say. No, next tab itself. No, not this one, next tab itself. Okay, fine. In that edit course, it's already available.
Okay. Okay.
Save as draft. Right. Now preview. Go to start course. Okay, that should not be the case. Just make a second. Right. Can you now go into that? Dr. Priyanka.
This tab, sir?
You can preview. Start course. Oh, that's
So should I publish it and maybe then?
Generally, you should not be publishing. Okay, you can try that. Just publish it. Publish. Right. And then preview. You can update also. Update and preview. Now it should be available, I believe.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Great. So if you can scroll this down a little bit. So your video, which you have embedded, it comes like that. Below that, you have your image or the creative which we have put in. And then this kind of an ID comes. You know, in this lesson, you'll be discussing the basics of LMS. Right. Then you click next. Right. Next would be the quiz, start quiz. It's telling us that it's a 2-minute quiz. Right. Scroll down. So whether it's true, false, let's put up false. Let's put up false. It's always good to know that we are committing a mistake. You know?
Yes, sir.
The correct answer is this. Scroll down. Submit quiz. Submit quiz. You know, basically you are stuck. You know, there's no movement because we have only given the student one attempt.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now they cannot move forward. Now they have to check with you, please help me in taking a step forward. Now you can review his performance based upon their own things and your own criteria. You can set up more quizzes, more lessons, more learning, more evaluating, right? And making more things available for people. So that can be done. We'll be creating things as much as possible. So this is how it's going to happen for you. Each one of you should be able to build more lessons under that based on your topics, more quizzes. You can give a quiz on top also, like we were able to drag unit number 5 to the top, and unit number 2 was made unit number 3 kind of a thing. So you can do those all kind of things also, right? So that is mix and match. So you can put up quizzes before even the lesson, and that's how it can be done. So any questions? Probably because now it is 6 o'clock, and this is what I was willing to tell mostly, how to use an LMS and how an LMS can be effective in a blended learning environment, right? And this is on top of synchronous, asynchronous. Asynchronous, synchronous, Yes, there was one raised hand. Yes, Ashwin.
Yeah, so I have a question with respect to the certification. We had an option to select what kind of certificate we can issue. So is there a standard way in which people give certificates, or everybody can design on their own, like what certificates they want?
You can design your certificates. There are certain presets which are available with us. But then we don't recommend to finalize any certificate before you even discuss what is your course plan. Right? Because we need to vet the course whether it qualifies for a non-credit module, because currently we are not giving any kind of credit modules. We're only giving non-credit modules. So this is almost like you go to Coursera, or you go to Course Hero kind of places, and you do certain things, and that is accepted in the industry kind of a thing. So your courses, if at all they have a merit, you really think they have a utility in the market, they'll gain the traction, and we'll vet the course and we'll give you a design certificate, and it can be delivered by Srish University and you as a collaborator jointly, or it can be done as a separate entity for you, right? In which we are not vouching for you, but we are backing you, obviously.
Got it. And another question I have with respect to the dashboard, we have an option on the right side which mentions the categories to be under mind management. We don't have any option of.
So that is one course which we are running. We are putting, clubbing up a lot of courses with mind management. So if you want to keep your course separately, we'll give you a course stash differently, separately. You can, add that. So let's say Dr. Priyanka and Ashneet and Dr. Anjali wants to create, courses separately, but later on they decide that, yes, we want to bundle this thing as an advanced program, right? So that can be done. So that basically you click under one single category and you get the things for yourself.
Got it. Thank you.
Right. So that's time, I believe. I guess queries are there. A lot of them probably they can be posted. If at all something can be answered now, we can take them now.
Thank you so much, sir. If you allow, can I take up one question?
Yeah.
So Mr. Abhijit is asking, can we add questions in between a recorded video?
Yes. So one video you have put in, and then there is one question or couple of questions, and then again a video is there. So the other option is I have only shown you how to put up videos from YouTube. Similar things, kind of VMO. But if you really want to add your videos from your own drive and you don't want to put it on YouTube or any other places, you want to host it all together, it'll be a little pricey. But then the way you have inserted media, the talk on certain thing like an image file, you can also upload from your library a video file and you can put it. So yes, one part you can have quizzes in between. Also, you can have it on your disk also. Yes.
So all the participants are thanking you, sir, for your.
Thank you so much.
So they say that this is a very nice and informative session, and it has really given them an insight how to create content.
Great, and use an LMS also. So I, on behalf of Sri University, invite all the people who are able to access today this LMS to come to us. We can help you in creating your courses. Let's put up some courses. Let's create massive open online content and create value for the future generation. So thank you so much, Jai Gurudev. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of our team and all the participants, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you one more time, because this hands-on experience that all the participants have been able to do, and this, because as you say, you see, you forget, you practice and you remember. So I think since they were all practicing simultaneously, this is going to stay. In fact, for me as well, this is going to be staying for me for a lifetime. So I think this has given a lot of exposure and information, because there is a lot of resistance from an individual side that no, I can't do it, I can't record a video, or I can't create a content, I can only deliver a face-to-face lecture. So I think this is going to help us come out of our comfort zone and learn something which is the need of the hour.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Professor Jacob, you have created a ripple, and that ripple is going to become a huge big wave in the sea. I can foresee that, because listening to you, a person who's technologically challenged like me, literally there is so much of motivation that I think I'll become maybe your chela.
Oh, that's a big word, man.
Creating some content, because this is a huge, beautiful word that you have exposed us to. It is the need of the hour. Some of us, as you know, belonging to a certain era, obviously there is always a feeling, maybe I would call it resistance to change also. Part of it is there, that you always feel that face to face and so on, I still feel it cannot replace. But when times are changing and technology has invaded every walk of our life, so education cannot remain isolated. Therefore, each one of us will have to, and I am urging the younger generation who are listening to me, this is a golden opportunity that has been given to you by the SSULM University, Professor Jaikar, and yesterday when Professor Ajay came. Make use of it, because you guys have, the entire literally now future generations before you. And as another speaker had said, Ajay had said too, you're a global teacher. You are no longer limited to a small classroom of 50, 60 or 100 people. So on that note, really thank you so much. It was pleasure listening to you. And I'm sure there is so much of value which has been added. We hope that we are going to be associated with you for a long period of time, not only with Ramanujan, but also with GS and Mary College. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for blessings.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Awesome session. Thank you.
Thank you.
With this, we conclude today's session. We meet again tomorrow. The announcement regarding whether it is a LMS session will be made on the Telegram group as usual. Thank you. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Jaikar sir. Thank you, Ashmeet ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Thank you, Ashneet ma'am. You too have a